Update. Good night's sleep.
But when you came into me first thing this morning, you said you had a terrible night's sleep or something like that.
No, I didn't.
Did you not?
No.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, no, I had a good night's sleep.
You're in the winter mode anyway.
Do you know the one thing I will say? I was having this conversation with Caroline, and not to be obsessed about sleep and energy and stuff. Like I have good energy levels, but I do think there's a wee, especially maybe if you're not in the gym all the time. You know, when you move into the winter months, you kind of, you do feel a bit lethargic. I was out in the sun all summer, you know what I mean? You're just not getting the same sort.
But you need the glow from the fire now, don't you?
Well, we have that.
Have you stuff ready for the fire?
Yeah, all sorted. Yeah.
Oh, well, how sorted are you? I could picture now,
firelighters.
I could see 2 buckets of coal, basket of firelighters, and then a wee basket beside it. Well, a big basket full of sticks.
Yes,
logs.
sticks.
Yeah,
can't beat sticks.
Look, I'm organised as well. Look at that. Now tell me who filled the
not me.
What? I was sent a picture this morning saying, look at he's all set for the fire, the winter mode and stuff. Who filled the bucket of coal?
I didn't.
No. Who filled the bucket of sticks?
Not me. Aaron probably.
What? No.
Okay, I don't know.
No. Boo, who did it for you?
Right, okay. Well, if you know what, I can ambush you quite easily as well.
Don't ambush me, please.
Yeah, no, I can.
You couldn't, could you?
I can.
You could.
I've got information. I've got sources.
Oh no! Don't do that to me. All right, we'll just call it quits at that because you have the fear of God in me now.
Oh no! Here we go.
Oh God! Here we go again.
The Monopoly game at McDonald's is back. There's thousands of prizes to be won, and you could get your hands on Emerald Park all-access tickets for 4, €1,000 cash, JBL speakers, and even more epic prizes. Go on, it's your go. 18 plus ROI ends 21st of October. Selected menu items only, subject to availability. App required. See mcdonalds.ie/monopoly/rules.
I really think they should actually stop them having to do those bits at the end.
Yeah, because we just can't. I don't know, but I kind of switch off when I hear that because it's the same
Especially
pitter
the
patter.
bank ones, it goes on and on, like just direct.
Just like on and on, like me and you when we're late for news, right? Good luck.
We're not late. See you, Lee. Okay, it is 9 o'clock. Time for a news update. Let's cross over now to Michaela Clark. Good morning, Michaela.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. Human remains are expected to be removed from a site in North Dublin today as part of the investigation into a missing child. The skeletal remains are believed to be those of Daniel Arabos, who disappeared around 4 years ago when he was 3 years old. Forensic examinations are continuing at the site in Donabate. Reporter Barry White says a post-mortem is expected later, which will determine the course of the Garda investigation.
Detectives hope the post-mortem will reveal whether Daniel Arabos died of natural causes, whether he died accidentally, or whether he may have died in a more sinister way. But given that it is skeletal remains here, it may take some time before they find out exactly what happened.
The Dáil has been told that some families of children with disabilities in Donegal are in turmoil because they're being denied psychiatric services from the Child and Adolescent Mental Health Service, as well as access to medication. Donegal Deputy Padraig McLaughlin says some families are now effectively trapped at home. Speaking during Dáil's statement on a national human rights strategy for disabled people in Ireland over the next 5 years, Deputy McLaughlin highlighted the reality families are facing.
Failure to recruit a range of professionals has led to appalling outcomes for children with disabilities and their parents. Imagine that you're locked in your own home. You can't leave because your child is just... It's going to be an awful situation where extended family will be physically attacked and nobody will help. Nobody can help, either in terms of psychiatric assistance or respite. That's the reality on the ground and it has to change, Minister.
Meanwhile, another Donegal deputy says no child should be denied the opportunity to grow, thrive and learn. Deputy Charles Ward says it's unacceptable that over 400 children across the country were unable to start school this month as parents struggled to secure a place at an appropriate school to meet their child's needs. He has called on the Education Minister to rethink a proposal to redesignate special schools to ensure children of all needs have access to education.
The purposed reclassification of schools would result in many children being returned to mainstream education, which parents and teachers in Donegal have told me this would not be in the children's best interests. The mainstream schools do not have the resources necessary to provide a right environment for these children to thrive.
Following a recent spate of high-value agricultural thefts in Tyrone and Fermanagh, the independent charity Crime Stoppers is now offering a reward. The £3,500 is available until December for information given directly to the charity that results in the arrest and conviction of those responsible. Chief Inspector Scott Follis says the PSNI hopes a cash reward will encourage those with information about recent thefts of items, including quad bikes, to tell Crime Stoppers what they know. Finally, for weather, while there will be some sunny spells for a time this morning, it will become mostly cloudy today with outbreaks of rain and drizzle developing. Highest temperatures of 16 to 18 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with news again at 10 o'clock. Until then, good morning.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest, The 9 till Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello and a very good morning. You're very welcome along to another 9 till Noon Show. This, the Thursday, the 18th of September. It's Thursday, the 18th of September 2025. You're very welcome along to the programme. How you're keeping? We've lots coming up for you. Loads of interesting conversation like we do every day. And this week, there's been some really important conversations as well, which we're glad to be able to host and facilitate. And there's more of that today. If you want to give us a call, by the way, if you want to comment as we go through the morning or raise your own issues or pass on some information or share some good news, 07491 25000. If you want a WhatsApp and text, it's 086 60 25000. You can send voice notes to that number as well. Or email comments@highlandradio.com, and that includes you if you're listening to the podcast or our overnight repeat. We really appreciate you listening, however you do, and your comments are welcome. Send them in to us and we can pick them up and include them in the next live show. And just to remind you once again, of course, you can watch the show if you're at home, working in the home. You can watch us on your smart TV or your Fire Stick, or if you're in maybe a nursing home or any facility, shared facilities like that, you can open up your smart TV and watch us on YouTube as well. We're across our Facebook pages, streaming on all of them today. There's been a bit of an issue with Facebook this week. And we're on the X platform as well. Right, now let's look at the papers this morning. The Clerical Tribune, they lead with quotes and conversation with the Martin sisters. Clerical sex abuse, renewed calls for cold case inquiry. The Martin sisters from Coolback and Fanet, who suffered clerical sexual abuse by paedophile curate Con Cunningham in the 1970s, said this week's apology from Monsignor Kevin Gillespie allows them healing and to finally close their wounds. They've thanked all those who facilitated and contributed in playing to resolve the issues raised over many years. Their family circle, medical, legal, counselling, clergy and support services in finding a resolution to their trauma. Now, we had both Paula and Margaret on the programme earlier this week. That was packaged as a standalone programme which was streamed out last night on YouTube or Facebook. So if you haven't heard their story, I would direct you to that. You don't have to search for anything. The entire story is there, posted last night across our social medias. And it starts off too with a conversation with John McAteer, the journalist who I'm quoting here in the newspaper, who outlined the case, Confreel, his movements, the inaction, etc. And then we move on to the sisters who talk of their experiences and their long road to that apology and the importance of it, and when they reached the times in their lives that they felt that they wanted to progress it, etc. It's about 45-50 minutes, well worth listening to. The Derry People Donegal News this morning, a much-needed childcare facility in the east of the county remains stalled more than 14 months after its planning permission was appealed to on Bó Pleanála, despite a growing childcare crisis in Donegal. The planned creche, earmarked for the former River Club nightclub at Clochfin, Castlefin, would cater for more than 100 children, ranging from 6-month-old infants to after-school age. However, the project has been left in limbo due to an appeal lodged by Transport Infrastructure Ireland in August 2024. Dublin native Sarah Fitton, who is the director of the project, said the delay has left families without vital services and placed enormous strain on efforts to address the county's chronic childcare shortage. The Derry News this morning, admissibility of decisive evidence in trial of Soldier F examined. This is a critical process in this trial. The admissibility of decisive evidence in the trial of a former paratrooper accused of the murder of 2 men in Derry over 50 years ago is being examined. It centres around statements made by 2 other soldiers which claim their colleague fired shots at Glenfadda Park north on January 30th, 1972, the day when members of the parachute regiment shot dead 13 civilians. Soldier F, who cannot be named by law, is accused of murdering James Ray and William McKinney. He's also charged with 5 attempted murders during the incident in Derry's Bogside area. Now, we heard from Mickey McKinney earlier on in this week, and he's of the view that this is really critical to whether or not this trial proceeds successfully or not. The trial opened at Belfast Crown Court, as you would know, on Monday, and heard the prosecution's opening statement as well as the statements of a number of people present at the shootings. On to the Nationals now, and every front page has a picture of young Daniel Arabos. He's pictured for the first time. This is the young angel, this young child who went missing. His remains have now been found. And I was looking at the picture, and I'm trying to make out, I'm thinking of pictures I've taken of our own children, and I'm looking at it and I'm trying to think what's going on behind his eyes. Is he curious? Is he wondering what mommy or daddy's doing? Is he sad? Is he worried? You know, you look at this picture and it's very hard to make out what he's feeling. And I can't help but sort of go down that road knowing what happened to the young man. Well, we don't know what happened, but unfortunately his life was cut tragically short. And the discovery of the remains of Daniel Arabos in a field in Donabate, North Dublin, is expected to lead to at least one arrest, the nature of which will be determined by the results of the post-mortem, the Irish Times understands. While people who knew the 3-year-old have cooperated with the Garda investigation to date, the discovery of Daniel's skeletal remains offer grounds for arrest, even if the post-mortem does not determine the cause of death or if it rules out foul play. Now, I can't see how conclusively skeletal remains, even with a very vigorous autopsy, could rule out foul play, because there are many ways in which one could die unnaturally that wouldn't be shown up by the examination of skeletal remains. But anyway, failure to notify the authorities of a person's death, inappropriate disposal of a body, and aiding of the concealment of remains are all criminal offences, though some of them only carry a fine, you know. However, reading on, most of those crimes are not regarded as serious enough in legislation to warrant the extradition of a suspect from another country. This could hamper the Garda investigation, as one person of interest is abroad. Garda sources said the nature of any charges, as well as the timing or grounds for any arrests, would be influenced by the results of the post-mortem. And as soon as we learnt of that story and other stories of missing children, it was like, well, why aren't we checking up on these kids? If they've ever come before TUSLA or any sort of arm of the state, because there are concerns over the welfare, you can't sign off on a case like that. You have to keep a track of them, and that would make common sense. That's what we should be doing, shouldn't we? But Norma Foley was asked something along these lines, and it's in the Irish Daily Star, and there is scope, she says, to create a check-in register for children along various stages of their development, a minister said, following the discovery of remains in the search for missing boy Daniel Arabos. Children's Minister Norma Foley said she expected a rapid review of the case to be completed very shortly, adding it could be with her department by the end of the month. The work of Ireland's Child and Family Agency TUSLA, which had concluded engagement with Daniel's family in 2020 after providing support around a temporary fostering arrangement, has also come under scrutiny. Ms. Foley said well-being checks on children in 42,000 cases that were closed by TUSLA while schools were closed during the pandemic would be independently managed. We need to chuck resources at this. We've stumbled across 2 cases of children that had come to the attention of TUSLA in the past and now are dead. We can't have a situation where children can disappear and nobody notices. We just can't. We can't have a society like that, can we? So whatever they have to do, they need to do. On to the Irish Independent now, and Cam Corla Verona Murphy has asked to meet all political party leaders to create a plan to combat the rise in threats against politicians. Miss Murphy's intervention comes after numerous threats were made against Taoiseach Simon Harris and his family in recent weeks. As the Dáil returned yesterday after the summer recess, Ms Murphy made a statement in the chamber before leaders' questions began. She said, the rise in threats was something that cannot be ignored. In recent times, she said, we've witnessed an alarming rise in the serious threats and online abuse directed at a significant number of members of the houses of the Oireachtas of all parties, and none a phenomenon that can no longer be ignored, she said. And we're obviously seeing what's happening in the United States at the moment. Those on the right often referring to people being upset by what was being said as hurty words. You've heard all those phraseologies, haven't you? And now some of the greatest advocates for the restriction of free speech. But of course, free speech is never always free of consequences. But whatever it takes, hopefully the left, the right, the centre meet to decide a way whereby we can all have differences of opinions, but we can be respectful, and we don't dox people, we don't abuse people, we don't hassle people, we don't threaten people. We disagree with them, but we don't go down a route that eventually will end up in violence. It's inevitable the way things are going. Of course, we're still looking towards the budget. The Irish Daily Mail focus on this under a big story. Families now feel strain, and unless we act, this gap will be unmanageable. That's in relation to nursing home places. But putting an end to one-off measures in the budget will place a significant financial burden on Ireland's older population if welfare payments are not increased. That's what the ASRI will tell TDs today. Experts from the Economic and Social Research Institute think tank and Irish Fiscal Advisory Council are due to address the Oireachtas Budgetary Oversight Committee and warned the politicians of the risks to the economy ahead of Budget 2026. That's due on October 7th. Government has made clear it intends to replace one-off measures such as energy credits and double child benefit payments with targeted payments for those in need. Alan Barrett of the ASRI says while the temporary measures were successful in helping households deal with higher prices, their phasing out will cause affordability issues, particularly, he said, for the older population and those with disability if headline welfare payments fail to keep pace with income growth. I presume that's expenditure growth. The Farmers Journal out today, of course. Well, the paper's about 3 inches thick because the ploughing championship is on. But their front page, older farmers should be paid a lump sum of €25,000 once they transfer the farm to a successor. The Commission on Generational Renewal in Farming has recommended. It's one of 31 recommendations made by the Minister for Agriculture this week by an expert committee, or made to him, tasked with improving succession in Irish farming. Younger farmers should also be paid €25,000 in the form of an establishment payment, it advised. If adopted, such a move would see Ireland bring back installation aid, which ended following the economic crash of 2008. So what do you think about that? I mean, obviously farming is a business, right? So 25 grand for the older farmer, probably dad, 25 grand then for the younger farmer. And this is to presumably encourage succession and to make it more of an easier task. But why just farming? Why not groceries? Why not hardware? Why not tailoring? Why would it be specific to farming, some might say? You know, hundreds and thousands of people around the county play soccer, football, and the reason I'm making that differentiation is because this story is about heading the ball. I remember watching Tomorrow's World on the BBC about 35 years ago when they were talking about the dangers of heading a ball, and there were people on with, you know, these things that you could put around your head to lessen the impacts of it. Like, that was a long time ago they've been talking about this. But anyway, headers during football matches may lead to alterations within the brain. This according to new research. Scientists found that the most active players had much greater disruption in the brain's microstructure compared to the least active users. The study of amateur footballers found more frequent headers were linked to changes within the folds of the brain. US scientists say their findings do not prove that heading the ball causes brain damage. It only shows an association. But study author Dr. Michael Lipton said, while taking part in sports has many benefits, including possibly reducing the risk of cognitive decline, repetitive head impacts from contact sports like soccer may offset those potential benefits. So they have shown that, you know, heading the ball does alter the brain. And finally, in the Irish Sun this morning, The average daily state spend on housing international protection applicants and Ukrainians is, how much would you say it is? So this is per day that is being spent on housing and meeting our obligations, by the way, 5.3 million euro per day, effectively over €1 billion a year. New figures show the overall spend on the accommodation to the end of July stands at 1.13 billion. The total is made up of 683 million for accommodating IP applicants and an additional 500,000 plus bar change for accommodating Ukrainians. At the current rate of spend, the state will pay out 1.17 billion on IP accommodation this year, an increase on the 1 billion and 5 million paid out in 2024. So $1 billion a year, which is remarkable when you think that that's the wiggle room in terms of, you know, tax concessions or one-off payments and what have you. It's a big spend, it has to be said, over $1 billion a year housing international protection applicants and Ukrainians. 5.3 million euro per day, according to the papers today.
Newspapers are kindly supplied by Cosgrove Centra, Mountaintop Letterkenny. Now with the new look Mountaintop Diner.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Welcome to Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms in Donegal Town. Discover affordable luxury with our bespoke fitted furniture solutions. With almost 30 years of serving Ireland and the Northwest, we're your trusted experts. Visit us Monday to Friday 9am until 5pm and on Saturdays from 9am until 3:30pm. Book your free consultation today on 074 9725822 or visit cherrymore.ie. Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms, where affordability and luxury combine.
Discover amazing deals at Floyd's Restaurant, Ballymagori, Strabane. Enjoy a 2-course menu for £19.95 Monday to Friday, Euro for pound night Wednesday and steak night Thursday. Sunday carvery from 12:30 to 3:30. Party packages and function rooms available. Call 02871 382905 to book.
Abby's definitely more of a summer person, so time for one last al fresco hurrah. And that means a trip to Aldi, because there won't be many more bright evenings left. No siree. A butternut squash salad sounds yum, made with specially selected rigatoni, barrel-aged feta cheese topped with walnuts. Might need a jumper though, and a glass of something small, just to keep the evening chill out, you understand. Good food, good mood, from Aldi.
I'm Fionnuala Fibre O'Farrell Flynn, racing across the country to keep up with NBI's fibre rollout. Over 50 broadband providers are using NBI's network to bring high-speed fibre broadband to homes across Ireland. So from Ballyliffin to Ballybuffet, homeowners can pick whatever package suits their needs and still get all the benefits of rural Ireland's dedicated fibre broadband network. Connect at nbi.ie.
NBI is delivering the government's national broadband plan.
Another connection. Oh, I knew I shouldn't have worn heels.
Experience a magical night of traditional Irish folk with Trasna, Ger O'Donnell and Trevor Sexton, masters of guitar, flute, banjo, whistle, double bass and more. Saturday, 18th of October at Anchurch Hotel, Gidor. Tickets €25. Accommodation packages available. Book at anchurchhotel.com or hotel reception.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is
9:22. Now, the Minister for Children, Disability and Equality, Noma Foley, has encouraged survivors to apply for representation opportunities in 3 key structures. Applications are invited from survivors and affected persons who are interested in the 4 positions available on the National Centre for Remembrance Steering Group to be part of the decision-making process. To learn more about this, we're joined by Patricia Carey, the National Advocate for Survivors. Good morning to you, Patricia. Thank you for your time.
Good morning to you and to your listeners.
Okay, can you tell us a little bit more about this initiative?
Well, the National Centre for Remembrance is going to be based in the site of the last Magdalen laundry to close. It actually closed in the late 1990s, which your listeners will probably find surprising. And this centre is going to remember all of those who spend time in institutions in Magdalen laundries, mother and baby homes, industrial and reformatory schools.
And what opportunities are available?
So we're asking for survivors to come forward to sit on the decision-making body, which is going to be making the decisions about what goes into that centre. There's going to be a museum run by the National Museum of Ireland, an archive repository run by the National Archives. And it's really important that survivors are represented in that decision-making body. So we're asking for survivors and affected persons, those who spent time in institutions, those who were separated from their families through adoption or maybe sent abroad for the purposes of adoption, to come forward and express an interest in that.
And in fairness to the Minister, it is she that announced this, but it did come off the back of feedback from survivors, presumably that they wanted more representation or more influence on any future directions.
Absolutely, and to be honest, it's down to survivors themselves that this national centre is going to be exist, because they campaigned for many years that the site in Sean McDermott Street wouldn't be sold to developers or sold, so that the government would take it over. So I have to pay tribute to those survivors who campaigned for many years. So it is now critical that we hear what survivors have said over the last year at a round of consultations, both in Ireland and abroad, that they want to be sitting making decisions about what goes into this centre, which essentially is about their lives.
Now, the window is closing, applications close this Friday, but I know we're doing this piece because we're very keen to have Donegal representatives or an interest from Donegal in the whole process. So maybe you can make a direct appeal so that people know it's they that you're talking to. You know, I know you sort of gave a brief outline, but who do you want to hear from and how might they get involved, or indeed just get further information, albeit, of course, you know, we're towards the end of the closing of this window?
Well, what I would say is that we need representation from people all over Ireland. We know that in every county in Ireland there were institutions, including in Donegal and in the Northwest. So we're asking people who were maybe spent time in those institutions themselves, in some instances it may be their family members, in mother and baby and county homes, Magdalen laundries, people who were affected by adoption and forced family separation. They can ring the department. It's a Dublin number 016473200. So that's a Dublin number 6473200. Obviously, there's some flexibility. If people want a hard copy of that application form, it's simple to fill in. They can also contact the department at National Centre, that's all one word, National Centre at dcde.gov.ie. And I would particularly appeal, we want to hear from people who maybe previously have not come forward, people who'd like to talk to the National Museum of Ireland to get involved in what is actually going to go into that museum to represent the time that they spent in institutions or their experience of being separated from their families.
Now, of course, we can't expect everyone to write down that information first time. So we retain that here if anyone wants to call us, and we can pass that on as they'd be more familiar with our contact details. Okay, Patricia, thank you very much indeed for your time.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye. Take care of yourself.
Bye.
That's Patricia Carey, the National Advocate for Survivors there. Right. Let me see. I just have to put that into context before I read it out. Any word of the tailback moving in Drumkeen? I think that was read out on Lee Gooch's show. 25 minutes people were waiting to get through there. There is roadworks, of course. I'm not sure what's going on, but another listener says the roadworks at Drumkeen are an absolute disgrace. So mad at how late I am now, Lou. Surely this work could be done at night. Another, I've just spent 45 minutes in the traffic from Ballybofey to Letterkenny because of the roadworks in Drumkeen. It's so frustrating. I noticed a number of cars leave the main route and go a side road. Why can't these side roads have road signs to advise people of an alternative route? I suppose there's consequences for sending people down certain routes. Maybe residents on those routes would start giving out about the contractors or the council. I don't know, but people very frustrated, particularly this morning. Right, now let me see. The one-way system in Rathmullen has been in place, which he thinks works really well. but recently was changed back to being two-way without any announcement to businesses or locals, people going the wrong way because they've been used to it being a one-way system. Does anyone know what is happening since the locals don't appear to? That comes in from a business owner in Rathmullen. If anyone has any information in that, let us know. Right, let's get back to that traffic. Marie joins me. Hi, Marie.
Hi.
So where are you? Or where were you?
I was coming out from Letterkenny at the Dry Arch, and I was heading towards Malabafay. And I've just got moved now, but I was sat for half an hour.
All right, and what's going on? Like, I mean, the traffic delays are huge. Yeah, I know, but but what's changed? Because, people seem to be suffering far more now than they were in previous days.
I don't know, because Tuesday I was up this way and it wasn't as bad, but today's very bad because they've got a system, where it's go start, and obviously the queues are getting longer, and there was probably 2 go starts, ahead of me that got through, but I got through on the 3rd try.
Right, okay. Very frustrating. And if anyone's trying to make work, school, hospital appointments...
Yeah, because I'm late for work now.
Are you? Okay. But you have a good excuse, and you can play this recording back if they don't believe you.
I have, yes.
What do we do, though? I mean, the road needs doing up, obviously.
I don't know why it can't be done at night time.
Yeah. I kind of tried to make the argument yesterday that, maybe it's to do with the cost of the contract then, but this level of convenience or inconvenience, means something has to be done.
Oh, it does, yeah, because really, I'll have to plan ahead now and maybe leave half an hour earlier for work. I leave at 8:30. I'll probably have to leave at 8 to make sure I get there on time now, while this is going on.
And the working day's long enough as it is, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Without then having to sort of kick off much, much earlier. All right, very frustrating.
Yeah.
You're through, though, now?
I'm through now, yeah.
All right. Have you looked at any alternative routes, or is there any?
Not unless I go all the way through Rafo, and come that way towards Malabafay, around that way.
That sounds like a whole handling. All right, listen, Marie, I'm glad you're through.
Okay.
Take care of yourself. But
Thank you. Okay.
how long? Do you know how long they're scheduled to be working on that road for?
I don't know, because when they were doing it before, they had a sign up, over the summer holidays when the schools were off, and it said 9 weeks, but there's no sign up for this one.
No, that was
it gave you warning before to say that was up by the school, and it gave you warning to say roadworks for 9 weeks, but there was no signs to say that this is going on and how long it'll take either.
Right, okay. All right, Marie, listen, safe onward journey to work, and if your boss is listening, or maybe you're the boss for all I know, don't give out. Don't give out. All right, Marie, take care. Bye-bye. Thanks so much indeed. Right. An emailer says, I'm writing because I need Highland's help with a very serious, very dangerous situation that's going on in the estate where I live. I live in Ard. What is that estate called, Caroline? What's that estate called? I can't quite make it out. The estate, it's Salaharain. Okay, that's fine. Well, it's an estate in Salaharain, Letterkenny, behind the hostel, up a very steep hill. I live in a building at the very back, which is completely under council control. We all pay rent to the council. The problem is we've got no outside lights. The street lights are there, 12 in total, but they aren't on, and the entire estate is in complete blackness. From here on, it's only going to get darker earlier. We can't get anyone to help us. The lights are privately owned, so we can't ring any company to deal with this issue. So we tried to get a response, as we always do. This is the response. The matter has been referred to the developer, owner of the estate, for follow-up and repair. The street lighting requires upgrading before new lamps can be installed. The developer is currently making arrangements with the infrastructure provider to have this work carried out. So we got onto the council, and that came from the council. Right, so there are plans in motion, but I would advise emailer, if you can, to get back in touch with us in 3 or 4 weeks if nothing has moved in that regard, because... And I'm not questioning the motivation of the statement, but that just could be kicking the can down the road. We really need to know for sure what's going on and when those works will be completed. Right, Kathleen, do you think people are a bit impatient and maybe not planning enough for important infrastructural work like roadworks? What's your view on people complaining about the big delays trying to get through Drumkeen?
Good morning, Greg. I know this was a scheduled roadworks because the council put it up. that it was going to be scheduled. This particular junction above the Rosie Bonner's pub, as we call it, Rosie's pub, is a very dangerous junction at the moment because people are coming out from Letterkenny and going down the convoy direction. There's been quite a few accidents in the last few months on this particular junction. The road surfacing going out onto the N13 was ridiculous, to be quite honest. So the council have to do the road repairs. I'm sorry if that lady got delayed. And there is other ways, you know what I mean, to get from Letterkenny to Balbuffet. If you put it into Google, it'll send you a different direction. And it will send you over the back road because I live on this back road. And at the minute, there is an awful lot of people that have taken it since Monday morning when it was announced over the, public. It was announced publicly that these roadworks were going to be ongoing for the rest of this week. So it's not, I'm sorry if she's delayed, but you know what I mean? You can't have roads without doing roadworks. I'm sorry.
So you're saying we can't complain about the state of the roads and then be upset when they're
not
upgraded?
allow the people to repair them. That's just my personal opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe people possibly don't agree with me, yes, because they've got delayed. But that's life, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And also, too, just because people don't agree with you, it doesn't mean you're wrong either. By the way, that's one thing we need to remember.
No.
What about you were going to say about
what
were you going to say about people suggesting we'll do them at night then?
Well, that's more expensive, so that's more money. So then you get less roads repaired.
Yep. Okay.
You know, that's my outlook on that, and I would rather get the roads repaired, allow a little extra time. The kids are all in school at this stage, and if you're going to work, I'm sorry, you can't be going on lastminute.com. That's my opinion on it.
Okay, Kathleen,
I'm
listen.
sorry, but
it's fine.
Greg, it's like going. Sorry, Greg, it's like going from at the moment from Letterkenny to Manor Cunningham. I was in Letterkenny yesterday, not comparing it, but from the Polestar roundabout to the Dry Arch roundabout was bumper to bumper. That was at 3 o'clock in the day, you know, coming out of the town. So this is only going to be a very minor inconvenience for people. It's only going to be this week. And unless they decide to resurface another bit of the road, which I hope they do, if it needs doing, because it's going into treacherous type of year. So the more safe we can have our roads, the better.
Kathleen, thank you for your point of view. I do appreciate it. David, though, on the flip side here, you might not use the road all the time. It might not necessarily be for work. You need to get to the hospital. David? Sorry, Caroline, we're having that problem with line 2. There's a delay on it. I don't know what's going on. David, could you hang up and we'll call you back, please? Because I want to hear your point of view and we'll try and get that line resolved. Back after the break.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
If you're going through a difficult time, you're not alone. There are now more mental health support services available for men. These include free counselling sessions, in person or online, as well as confidential phone support, available 7 days a week. Getting support can make a real difference to you and your loved ones. To find out more about the full range of free services available, visit yourmentalhealth.ie/men. From the HSE.
As the days get shorter, the kids get back to school, and we start to make our homes a little cozier. We're all looking for smarter ways to save. Electric Ireland can help get you there. Switch to our best smart meter plan and save up to 30%. Visit electricireland.ie. EAB €1,199 based on 12-month home electric plus SST Saver electricity. Discounted unit rates with online billing, direct debit and VAT. Smart meter required. Subject to change. T's and C's apply.
I was in pain for over a year. Once I went to see my GP, he referred me to Kingsbridge. My experience at Kingsbridge was fantastic. Everybody was very friendly. They couldn't do enough for you.
Public patients in the Republic of Ireland can get rapid access to cross-border surgeries at Kingsbridge private hospitals in Belfast and Derry, with medical costs reimbursed by the HSE. Find out more at kingsbridgeprivatehospital.com/cross-border. Kingsbridge, your fast track to 5-star care. Terms and conditions apply.
Is your couch older than your Spotify playlist? Is your dining table wobblier than your uncle at a wedding? If so, it's time for an upgrade at Grove Furnishings, Kiltoy Road, Letterkenny, the largest furniture store in the Northwest. From stylish sofas to elegant beds, from floor covering to occasional pieces, we've got you covered. And we offer free delivery within 80 kilometres. Grove Furnishings. Seriously good furniture.
If you have a special occasion coming up, Watson Menswear stock a great selection of men's and boys' formal and casual wear. Top casual brands include Mishmash, French Connection, Tommy Bow and Penguin. Formal wear names include Rimazumo, Sixth Sense and White Label, with a special suit deal of a 3-piece suit, shirt, tie and shoes, all for only €299. Watson Menswear, open 7 days a week on Main Street, Letterkenny and at watsonmenswear.com.
Now, David, sorry about that. You are with me now. You are inconvenienced by these roadworks, David. Hello? No, we've lost David. That's okay, though. Effectively, what he was saying, good morning, Greg. In regards to the traffic in Drumkeen, I'm actually late for a hospital appointment. It was already mentioned the works should be done at night. It's dangerous. It's a dangerous road at the best of times. Adding hundreds of annoyed and disgruntled drivers trying to get to where they should be is not going to help. Somebody in the county council or whoever has planned this work needs to cop on a bit. Maybe we might get some sort of a statement from the council just as it relates to daytime works versus nighttime works, etc. You tell them, Catherine, well said, says the listener. People should have common sense to leave the house in plenty of time for their journey. That comes in from Kevin. And another awful traffic delays in Drumkeen this morning. And I think to give people credit, they know the work needs to be done. They welcome the work being done. But it's just they think maybe it should be done at night or maybe managed a little bit better. We're still waiting on an update at Macleay's Corner Crater. A lot of people were onto us yesterday, particularly drivers of big vehicles. This is a crater at Macleay's Corner there in Ballybuffet, and it's been a hole for a long time now, and it's a very, very poor piece of road. So whilst we've got millions being spent up in Drumkeen, which is fantastic, I wonder can the lads in Drumkeen spare a wheelbarrow of tar and chip just for the Macleay's Corner crater? If you could, it'd be fantastic. A caller says, seems that the council can only organise nighttime works for cutting down trees. That's a point that's come in. That's a point that's come in on a number of occasions. Coming from Manor onto the roundabout, if you are coming from Derry, you're meant to stay in the left lane for Lifford. There are arrows. Sorry, I thought, yes, but the road, I thought they were on about the road up at the hotel. That's what I thought that question was about yesterday. My mistake if I got that wrong. David here, Greg, I'm a driving instructor and that's completely wrong. It's the Manor roundabout. Sorry, I was talking about I should really be very careful in matters of road safety as well. I was under the impression that the texter was on about the roundabout up at Letterkenny at the hotel there. But I'll read this out just so we're absolutely sure. David here, Greg, I'm a driving instructor and that's completely wrong at the Manor roundabout. You cannot come around in the left lane towards Letterkenny. That lane is for Lifford Strabane only, which I know. I just thought it was the wrong. I just thought it was a different roundabout. Macleay's Corner, never mind the pothole. Where is the forward thinking or intellectual people who can see a simple solution to a lot of traffic issues of Ballybuffet and Stranraer? Macleay's building and 2 other properties besides are for sale. Tumble them, put in a major junction with turn-off lanes or even a roundabout. Traffic would flow more efficiently and a hell of a lot cheaper than a bypass that may never happen. Good morning, Greg. I just heard you mention traffic on the dual carriageway there and wondered, can you clarify something for me? My daughter was coming from the Manor direction this morning and going onto the carriageway heading towards Letterkenny. Right, this is the actual text where I may have got things wrong. So they were on about a different roundabout to the roundabout that I was on about. So my apologies there. Again, Greg's comments on the Manor roundabout was inaccurate earlier. The road is clearly marked. There was a prosecution several years ago of a driver taking the left lane from the Derry side but continued around the roundabout towards Letterkenny. They got off on a technical point that the road was not clearly marked, and it is now again mea culpa. I should double check stuff. I genuinely thought it was the roundabout up at the Clanry Hotel, isn't it? The Clanry Hotel, yeah. Right, okay, keep your texts and comments coming into us. I do appreciate it. Lots to catch up from yesterday. A lot of wrist slapping of me, which is justified. No problem with that. We'll be back with more after these.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
Planning a celebration? Discover the brand new Lily's Restaurant at the Mount Errigal Hotel. A stylish new space with beautiful surroundings and your own private bar. Perfect for birthdays, communions, anniversaries and more. Book now at Res Diary or call 074 912 2700.
Liven up more fajita nights for less with these Lidl Plus Super Savers. Slice, sizzle and save with succulent Borbia approved chicken fillets, 1 kilogram, 25% off, now just $7.49. And turn up the taste with fresh, vibrant red peppers, 40% off, now 59¢. Simply scan, pay and save with Lidl Plus.
Are you worried about trees on your property? Northwest Forestry Services Ballybuffet are fully insured and have over 40 years experience in dangerous tree removal, tree felling, surgery and stump grinding. For peace of mind, call Northwest Forest Services Ballybuffet for a no obligation quotation on 913233.
Hi, Paddy here at Shane Conley Cars in Donegal Town. Are you looking to upgrade your car? With Shane Conley Cars, you'll find makes and models for every budget. Great finance options, and we also accept trade-ins. Check out ShaneConleyCars.com or call in to us at Shane Conley Cars from Lonaher Road, Donegal Town.
Get ready, Donegal. The big Highland Bingo Party is here.
On Saturday the 29th of November, the Villa Rose Hotel, Ballybuffet transforms into the wildest Christmas party of the year.
Hosted by me, Keith Fletcher, Lee Gooch and Marty Friel on the decks.
Think festive cocktails, classic party anthems, ridiculous games of course, and mad bingo mayhem.
Loads of prizes on the night with a €1,000 top cash prize up for grabs.
You better be quick. Tickets are on sale. Grab yours on Eventbrite or check out highlandradio.com.
The big Highland Bingo Party. Over 18s.
Ha-ha! It's bingo, but not as you know it.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by McElhenney's. With new season styles arriving daily, discover the latest fashion, footwear and accessories for autumn in store or shop online at mcelhenneys.com today.
Well, it's not going to be terrible, for the next wee while. Overnight rain clearing and becoming largely dry but cloudy this morning with isolated showers and just limited sunny spells. Drier and brighter in the afternoon with sunny spells. Windy, though, with strong and gusty southwesterly winds. But we're going to see perhaps less rain over the weekend and drier conditions, albeit still relatively chilly to the summer, but dry nonetheless. Right. Downgraded defective concrete homeowners have escalated decisions to the EU Commission. We're joined on the programme by Marty McElhenney, who's a spokesperson for a downgraded group of many homeowners affected by this. Good morning to you, Marty. Thanks for your time. Appreciate it as always.
Good morning, Greg. Good morning, Joe, and good morning, listeners.
Yeah, that's Joe Morgan, who is going to be joining us shortly. I just want to recap briefly because we're kind of at a milestone here. Who are downgraded homeowners, and how are they being affected in this scheme?
Defective concrete block downgraded homeowners are a group of 87 since yesterday. Homeowners from Donegal who were required to engage IS 465 registered chartered engineers, and this was from a list provided by Donegal County Council. This was in order to access the Irish State's Defective Concrete Blocks grant scheme. We did this at significant cost, €7,000. These engineers came out to our homes. They conducted thorough building condition assessments, and taking into consideration the scientific analysis they determined our home should be demolished. With this chartered engineers report, we then applied to this scheme. Some of our homeowners applied as early as September 2020. That's 5 years ago right now. We then, with the enactment of the Enhanced Defective Concrete Blocks grant scheme, we became transitional applicants, and we were moved to the housing agency, and they took charge of our applications. And then we found out through email notifications that we're not having our option one, which is demolish, which our engineers told us we had to have. They determined in their expert opinion our home should be demolished. And we were instead given lesser partial remediation options, which leave defective concrete in the blocks of our homes. This was done without anybody ever visiting our homes. So some people applied in September 2020, and that whole interim, these homes continued to deteriorate and nobody visited. So we have
So
been
you have an
downgraded
opportunity to then appeal that downgrading. But this is where the problem is. You're in this vacuum whereby the appeals have gone in and nothing is happening.
Yeah. Well, appeals were submitted since March 2024 by downgraded Donegal homeowners. It's September 25 now, that's 18 months. Not one downgrade appeal has been heard. The appeals rest on the basis, we've all been downgraded on the hypothesis that the blocks retained are of adequate compressive strength and not at risk of freeze thaw. This is disproven. So every single home has been misdiagnosed, and the pyrite present in all our blocks has not been considered when they were legally mandated to consider it. The Housing Agency will, in its analysis and deliberation, take into consideration the presence of pyrite. They didn't, so the appeals rest on this.
Have you had any information as to where this delay is coming from? The Housing Minister knows about this. The local authority knows about it. It's being raised at monthly defective concrete blocks committee meetings. Now, obviously, the Housing Agency don't turn up more than they do, but we know they're aware of it. So have you been given any reason as to why? Are they waiting on the upgraded science and then reapply that to these cases? I mean, are you being given any info at all?
Our appeals have been submitted in line with the legislation, and our appeals are valid as it stands right now. The new IS 465 means nothing to the legal process that we're engaged in already. So we need our appeals heard because that's the only legal pathway we have to have our original engineers' determinations reinstated. But you've asked if there's been any update. There's been no update at all. Nothing at all. We keep getting that the appeals are statutorily independent, but that's a flaw in itself because ultimately it's the Minister for Housing and his department and office that does have accountability and oversight for the appeals panel. So this untenable delay of up to 18 months is just adding to homeowners' anxiety, stress.
See, I just don't get the logic of it because, the scheme is progressing for some, obviously. It's a multi-year, multi-billion euro scheme. We're talking about the shortfall between full demolition and partial remediation. So we're not talking, the full amount per house. I don't understand the logic of the delay. Or even if you were told that, look, we are absolutely overwhelmed, we're hiring more staff, we're going to be working on that shortly. But there's nothing there, and I don't understand why, because it's not really even worth the government penny pinching on these 87 homes.
Yeah, at this stage, it's abundantly clear, it's crystal clear to everybody that they are purposely stalling the appeals.
But why?
I don't know why. Let's
Do you know what I mean? For the points I've outlined.
Right, Greg, our appeals are right. They're valid. The appeals rest on serious and significant errors. We've exposed and highlighted serious and significant errors. They were legally mandated to consider pyrite. We all have pyrite in the blocks of our homes. This is part of this is the reason we've escalated now to the EU. EU regulations very clearly reference limits on minerals such as mica, pyrite and pyrite. And the Housing Agency and the department at this stage have completely ignored it.
Mm-hmm. Joe Morgan joins us now. Joe, of course, brought the first complaint to the EU, and whether or not this actually, Joe, I think the publicity, as much as anything, is important here, rather than necessarily, the government feeling they must comply with an EU directive, whatever it might be. But how important? Well, give us the nature of the complaint to the EU, if you don't mind, and how it will progress in its importance.
Sure, Greg, and good morning to you. A long time since we've spoken. So look, Marty approached me earlier this year just in terms of trying to understand if there was a EU angle relative to downgraded homeowners. And look, I've spoke to her on a number of occasions since, and it would be my opinion, Greg, that there is, and to your point initially, part of this is bringing additional publicity, obviously, to the plight that these particular homeowners are in. But I do believe there's an EU angle to it as well. Marty alluded to it there. The Housing Agency are point blank refusing to consider pyrite in these desktop assessments that they've done. And listen, as an aside, we've had desktop studies before, and we know where that got us relative to the root cause of the issue. So the fact that they're employing this process again beggars belief, to be quite frank. But the lack of consideration for pyrite, it actually ignores the concrete product regulation, right? Because as Marty already alluded to, pyrite particularly is quite clearly and actually quite uniquely referenced in the concrete product directive. And the reason that it's uniquely referenced is because it is highly unstable and highly reactive, right? And particularly consequential, if you like, if it's in excessive amounts within aggregate that's in concrete blocks for construction. So given that the concrete product regulation stipulates that there is a need for pyrite consideration, given that the Housing Agency is not doing that, and in parallel there are existing infringement proceedings initiated by the EU Commission against the Irish government for not adequately implementing the concrete product regulation, that would say to me that there is a case and there will be interest at EU Commission level relative
they haven't
to
looked
this
at
practice.
these appeals to say, right, okay, sorry, we got that wrong. We will either, we'll reinstate the original recommendations. Like, we haven't got to the point, have we, where we know they're disregarding pyrite. We know that they made the mistake now and then downgraded these homeowners. But in the absence of them actually one appeal being heard and them announcing that, oh, right, okay, that was a desktop exercise that was in error, they're not even progressing to that point. So we're still arguing.
Because
right, okay.
They've gone through the desktop assessment, right? They've taken on board reports from IS 465 chartered engineers, which have recommended demolition, and they've overturned those decisions.
Okay.
And in that process have failed to consider the presence of pyrite. And in doing that, are not properly implementing the concrete product regulation. So I think we've got that far. But to your point, no appeals have been heard yet, right? And that's the reason that me and Marty are on here talking to you today.
Yeah.
That's the reason Marty approached me. There's nothing progressing. And look, I've been through the rebuild process myself, so I understand the stress associated with that, but I can quite frankly state I can't imagine the stress that this particular cohort of families are going through who are trying to engage with a scheme
and it's just
to remediate
important that
their
this is not just an inconvenience. We've got, and I speak to them all the time, younger people, particularly who have no history of asthma or breathing difficulties, starting to develop that. Older people that should be able to go through this process, as stressful it is, and enjoy a number of years in a rebuilt property. They're not being allowed to do that. They're being stuck in this property. That's just simply not fair. Did you want to come back in maybe for the final word there, Marty?
Yeah, we have pensioners and we have families with young children. This is horrific. This is actually cruel and a very, very unfair situation to be in when all we've wanted was to try and engage with the scheme and move on with our lives. So it feels like, our human rights here are being impacted. There's no way around it. You cannot continue to allow us to live in this limbo. Ultimately, the decisions, they are all scientifically flawed and legally flawed. The Housing Agency ignored the presence of pyrite and in doing so, they are ignoring EU concrete regulations. There's no justification for this. What is the reason for the stalls and delays? We have IS 465 registered engineers. They stand over their decisions that our homes should be demolished. They helped us submit our appeals. Our homes should be demolished. And then you have desktop engineers who, they didn't even visit the homes. All the further deterioration was never, ever considered. The original engineers were right. They stuck within the confines. They were able to make the correct decision, even with the flawed IS 465 standard.
Okay. All right,
It needs to be reinstated, and the legal pathway to do that is the appeals. And hopefully, escalating now to the EU will highlight this and highlight how we've been treated by the Irish government and how we continue to be treated and the limbo we reside in.
It just feels to me that over the last number of weeks and now, and perhaps even going forward, this is more of a headline story in the places of power in Europe rather than our own parliament, which is an interesting development. Thank you very much for that, Marty. I do appreciate it. That's Marty McElhenney, DCB downgraded homeowner. Joe Morgan, who is elevating this to EU level. Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Greg.
Take care of yourself. I really do appreciate it. We'll be back with more on the 9 till noon show this Thursday after the news.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Joe Gallagher Entertainment presents the Ultimate 70s Night, Sunday, October 26th. Get ready for Shawadi Wadi and the Bay City Rollers live at the Mount Erigal Hotel, Letterkenny. Sing and dance the night away to all the hits. Tickets on sale at ticketmaster.ie and hotel reception. Don't miss this unforgettable night, October 26th at the Mount Erigal Hotel, Letterkenny.
You've got experience. Now it's time to build on it. With Skills to Advance, get the tools to grow with flexible, tailor-made courses in areas like AI, digital skills, sustainability, technology, leadership and management. They're short, practical and low cost. So whether you're looking to step up, switch paths or stay sharp, this is your next move. Contact your local education and training board or visit skillstoadvance.ie. Skills to Advance. Boost skills, boost business. Supported by Solus and the Government of Ireland.
The Irish Coast Guard is recruiting watch officers for its rescue coordination centres in Valentia, Malin Head and Dublin.
Mayday relay. Mayday relay.
It's our job to coordinate life-saving missions for swimmers, seafarers and anyone else who needs our help.
Copy that, Rescue 115. Position confirmed. Proceed with rescue.
Watch officers stay calm under pressure. We have to. It's how we save lives. Apply today at publicjobs.ie.
Stay ahead with the Irish Farmers Journal. Never miss an issue with our convenient home delivery service and digital subscription. Get trusted news, advice on schemes and cap, and up-to-date mart prices. We have unrivaled dairy, beef, tillage sheep, pedigree and machinery coverage with technical expertise delivered to your door every Thursday. Plus, instant access to all our premium content on your mobile. Subscribe today and claim the cost against your farm tax bill. Go to www.ifj.ie/subscription.
When the time comes, the last thing you want is for your family to worry about funeral costs. That's why On Post Insurance offers funeral insurance for those aged 50 to 75. A simple way to help ease the burden for the people you care about most. Take a moment today to plan ahead. Call 0818 22 22 22 or visit onpostinsurance.ie. Acceptance criteria, terms and conditions apply. One Direct Ireland Limited, trading as On Post Insurance, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. One Direct Ireland Limited is a wholly owned subsidiary of On Post. Funeral insurance is underwritten and provided by New Ireland Assurance Company plc. On Post Insurance is a tied agent of New Ireland Assurance Company plc for life assurance business.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, I'm Michaela Clark with the news at 10 o'clock. The Finance Minister is defending the government's spending plans after criticism from the Central Bank. The bank is warning the proposed budget package of €9.4 billion is unnecessarily big. It says the government must cut back on its infrastructure budget or raise taxes to sustain its current spending. Minister Paschal Donohoe says he respects the bank's position but is confident about his spending plans.
As we move into next year, there will be a number of moves that are taking place that will lead to a broader tax base. We will be making further changes with regard to carbon taxation. The rate of PRSI within our economy will be going up to help fund our auto-enrolment system and better pensions in the future. And the tax package that we are bringing forward is created by the kind of income growth that we are seeing taking place within our economy.
The North West Regional Assembly is warning of significant delays in the delivery of critical infrastructure projects in the region. The body forecasts that just 14 out of 35 identified priority infrastructure projects are likely to be shovel-ready for delivery by 2030. Shane Beattie has more.
The NWRA believes one of the projects likely to be shovel-ready for delivery by 2030 is the 10T project, with planning permission expected before the end of 2027, paving the way for works to commence between 2028 and 2030. It's also anticipated that work on the Letterkenny GIS substation project will commence in 2027. EirGrid has also indicated that a further extension of the network, including linking Letterkenny and Derry, will begin in 2030. It's also looking positive for the IT, library and education building at ATU Letterkenny and the expansion of Ulster University's Magee campus to cater for 7,500. The body remains unsure if the A5 will get off the ground before 2030 due to ongoing court delays. Projects the NWRA believes believes will not be shovel-ready by 2030 include the N56 Inver to Killybegs route and the reintegration of rail in the northwest.
The Dáil has been told that some families of children with disabilities in Donegal are in turmoil because they're being denied psychiatric services from the Child and Adolescent Mental Health Service, as well as access to medication. Donegal Deputy Padraig McLaughlin says some families are now effectively trapped at home. Speaking during Dáil's statement on a national human rights strategy for disabled people in Ireland over the next 5 years, Deputy McLaughlin highlighted the reality families are facing.
Failure to recruit a range of professionals has led to appalling outcomes for children with disabilities and their parents. Imagine that you're locked in your own home. You can't leave because your child is just... It's going to be an awful situation where extended family will be physically attacked and nobody will help. Nobody can help, either in terms of psychiatric assistance or respite. That's the reality on the ground and it has to change, Minister.
Meanwhile, another Donegal deputy says no child should be denied the opportunity to grow, thrive and learn. Deputy Charles Ward says it's unacceptable that over 400 children across the country were unable to start school this month as parents struggle to secure a place at an appropriate school to meet their child's needs. He has called on the Education Minister to rethink a proposal to redesignate special schools to ensure children of all needs have access to education.
The purposed reclassification of schools would result in many children being returned to mainstream education, which parents and teachers in Donegal have told me this would not be in the children's best interests. The mainstream schools do not have the resources necessary to provide the right environment for these children to thrive.
Gardaí in Donegal are warning motorists to never take to the roads if their vehicle is not in a roadworthy condition. It's after one of the tyres of a vehicle stopped on Main Street, Dunlow yesterday was discovered well below the recommended tyre thread depth. Gardaí say it was less merry from Dunlow and more scary from Dunlow. The motorist was handed an €80 fine and 2 penalty points. Weather now becoming mostly cloudy today as the day progresses, with outbreaks of rain and drizzle developing. Highest temperatures of 16 to 18 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with an update again at 11 o'clock. Until then, you can keep up to date with the latest local news on our website, highlandradio.com. Good morning. The obituary notice says for this Thursday morning, September the 18th. The death has occurred of Ellen Robinson, née McKeown, Pound Street, Dunfanaghy, formerly of Carrickfergus, County Antrim. Ellen will be reposing at her home in Dunfanaghy today and tomorrow. House is private place to family and friends. Funeral Mass in Holy Cross Church, Dunfanaghy on Saturday morning at 11 o'clock. Burial afterwards in the adjoining graveyard. Mass can be viewed live on mcn.live. Family flowers only please. Donations in lieu if desired to Letterkenny Renal Dialysis Unit, care of any family member or James Harkin, Funeral Director. The death has taken place of Kathleen Ruddy, née Gallagher, Ballylusky, Carndonagh. Removal from Kelly's funeral home this evening at 5 o'clock, going to her late residence. Removal from there on Saturday morning at 10:30, going to the Sacred Heart Church, Carndonagh, for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass, followed by burial in the adjoining cemetery. Requiem Mass can be viewed live on carndonaghparish.com. Family flowers only please. Donations in lieu if desired to Ard Aving Unit, Carndonagh, care of any family member or Blaine McCarran, Kelly's funeral directors. The death has taken place of George Doherty, Watt, Porthaw, Glen, Buncrana. Remains will repose at his residence from 4 o'clock until 10 o'clock today and tomorrow from 12 noon until 10 o'clock. Funeral from his residence on Saturday morning at 10:15, going to St Mary's Church, Cockhill, for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass with burial afterwards in the adjoining graveyard. The death has taken place of Marion Johnston, née Haughey, de Ross Rossbeg, County Donegal, formerly of Ballymore, Teelan, reposing at Chauvelin's funeral home, Sandfield, Ardra, today from 2 o'clock until removal at 5 o'clock to St Connell's Church, Kilclooney, for 6 o'clock. Requiem Mass at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning with burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Family flowers only please. Donations if desired to the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member. And the death has taken place of Caroline Elizabeth Betty Elliott, née Hall, late of Castle Manor, Kesh, and formerly of Clonelly Farmhouse, Kesh. how strictly private, please. A service of thanksgiving for the life of Betty will take place in Ardes Parish Church tomorrow afternoon at 3:30, followed by burial in the adjoining churchyard. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to the Fred Fellows Foundation, care of W.T. Morrison Funeral Directors, or online at wtmorrison.com. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Fancy fish tacos tonight? You'll catch some amazing prices at Aldi, that's for sure. The finest Irish breaded haddock goujons are just $2.99. Sour cream at just 89¢. Mixed chilies only 49¢. And 8 mini white tortilla wraps are just 85¢. That's an evening treat at amazing Aldi value, all wrapped up. Good food, good mood from Aldi, while stocks last.
Welcome back to the programme. A caller says regarding the defective blocks debate, the delay is due totally to the government's determination to ignore the problem, to totally neglect the Irish citizen. Another, I find it hard to believe that appeals board was set up and has made no decision, has interacted or has not interacted or given no answers to anybody, no records of meetings. Well, we have also, of course, and it goes without saying, but I must say, we've contacted as soon as we knew we were going to be doing that piece, we contacted the Department of Housing for a comment as to what is the delay, what's the process, etc. So, as I say, that goes without saying, but I must say, just very important that we pass that on. We were speaking to Breda yesterday. Breda has written a new book which chronicles her very difficult childhood, an awful lot of trauma in her childhood, but particularly then the decades in the mental health system. And I don't want to sort of paraphrase her whole life, but she was never listened to or asked, or there was no attempt to get to the core problem as to why she was suffering with mental illness until very late on. And it turned her life around when she did. And her book, she hopes, Unseen, I believe it's called, is to Breda O'Reilly, is to give hope to others, but tell her story as well. Greg, what an extraordinary woman, honestly. What an extraordinary woman. The courage and bravery it must have taken Breda to write openly about what she endured is incredible. I think the real conversation now needs to focus on yet another government-backed institution that has stripped people of their lives, dignity and freedom. What Breda went through in the Irish psychiatric system is nothing short of horrendous. The taboo around mental health still silences too many people. Breda's courage is blowing that door open, giving others the strength to speak out. I'll go out to buy her book today, Unseen. I hope others take courage to talk to friends, family and professionals about their own struggles in life. What an incredible woman. Let me see. I want to sort of stay on track with some of these comments. Greg, if you're on the M50 every day, there's no point ringing Declan on 2FM. Your country people get it handy. You love to complain about everything. I don't know. Is there a Declan on 2FM? Yeah, we don't need to complain about everything, but you have to hold power to account as well. And I think people are entitled to ask at least, why are these works not being done at night? Why are they not better organised? Why are there not alternative routes mapped out and made available to the public? Or indeed, the public told that alternative routes aren't suitable for certain types of traffic? I don't think that's a big ask. I don't think that's moaning. And you know what? You probably wouldn't get heard at 2FM either. We listen to people here. No harm to them. They're a different type of station. Hi, all road work should be done during the summertime when no schools are on. Same every year. Once the schools open, the road work start. Cheers. But then, what about tourism, etc.? We do have quite a bit of tourism traffic. What kind of a message would that send out if parts of the county were in gridlock every summer? It's a toughie, When do you do it? Stop running down the workers that fix the roadworks. They're doing their work. If going out, just go early. There's actually been zero criticism of the workers at all. This is about planning. These are lads and ladies that are going out and doing their work in tough conditions. I hope people are always respectful to them. I haven't heard an iota of criticism towards any workers who are fixing the roads at all. This is about planning that people are concerned about. But Catherine's got lots of supports. Catherine, I don't know if you were expecting it, but lots of people agreeing with you, Catherine. Here's one, Greg. I totally agree with Catherine. People just need to leave a little bit earlier. A comment on the cost of living. Electricity Ireland is a sub-branch of ESB, which is state-owned. What's stopping the government directing them to lower their prices, which would then incentivise other private companies to lower their prices in order to remain competitive? I think really there you're kind of outlining the anti-competitive nature that might have. I don't know. I was contacted by a person who is a law graduate, and this maybe it's just an off chance. Maybe someone in this realm will listen to this and can help them. So my name is such and such. I'm a law graduate holding both a BCL degree and a master's degree from University College Cork. I've also completed all of my FE1 exams and passed them successfully. Despite my qualifications and dedication, I'm finding it extremely difficult to secure a traineeship to start my legal career. I've contacted numerous solicitors, but some haven't even replied, which has been very upsetting. Becoming a solicitor is something I've wanted to do since I was little, so this situation has been particularly disheartening. I'm currently living in Donegal and was hoping to secure a traineeship somewhere in Letterkenny. I'd had hoped to begin the hybrid course in December, but I cannot start until I find a traineeship. I'd be very grateful if you could mention my situation on your show. Any exposure or guidance would mean a great deal and might help me take the next step in my career. So this is someone, a woman who has obviously got all of the necessary qualifications to get to this stage of her career. She's struggling to find a traineeship. So if you are a solicitors out there, maybe you're very busy and didn't see the application or what have you. This person is very keen to begin her traineeship so she can continue her studies. That's the hybrid course in December. So if you're in the area of law, maybe you could help this person out, or indeed just give her some advice. You can get in touch with us, of course, 086 60 25,000. Hi, Greg. According to RTE News, Ireland gave 34 vehicles to Ukraine, which is an out-and-out violation of Irish neutrality by cutely claiming the 34 vehicles are a donation. They are a donation to the war. Under international law, Russia now has the right to attack Ireland and thus defend itself, since Ireland is now actively engaged in the Ukraine war. But we did send over flak jackets and other pieces of equipment to them. The caveat being that the equipment can't be used in sort of a combat situation. We've also provided plenty of training too. So to some extent, that cat is already out of the bag. Aren't you very honest, Greg? Yeah, I think so. For the most part, this is off a chat we had yesterday talking about my own dealings with credit card companies and what have you. I work for the HSE and I've had to take on a second job in the evenings. That's how tight it is for one listener. Greg, who you're with for $12.99 for your phone, well, it's for the SIM card. I went through that yesterday and I went through various options and what have you. So if you want to listen to the third hour of the podcast yesterday of the 9 till noon show, I run through how much the SIM cards are, who the piggyback carriers are, your international roaming, etc. There's on all of them, there's no limits really on data except on post. But text messages, there's a 5,000 limit, but I mean text. I haven't sent an SMS in a long time. Good morning, Greg. You and the left that are complaining now about free speech and cancellation had no problem with others getting cancelled and sacked for telling the truth, i.e. during COVID and George Floyd. The left burned America down over a drug addict dying from a fentanyl overdose. Did any buildings burn after Kirk's death? No is the answer. These vile, demonic people cheering on the death of a married man with kids deserve what they get. They reap what they sow. Yeah, I have never engaged in any nasty language like that about anyone ever on the internet, and there's no place for it. I'm just standing back watching on as different sides of different arguments switch their positions left, right and centre to suit their narratives. I'm not involved. You know, I'm certainly not on the left either, and I'm not on the right. Maybe I'm a centrist. I don't know. But thanks for your listening to the show, by the way, and regularly texting in. It fit Donegal deputies better to sell the old courthouse and put that money, along with the $7 million that the government seems to have spare, to build the new bridge for Letterkenny. No point in tourists if they're stuck in traffic for hours to just get around. Good morning, Greg. That person on their holidays in Tenerife is bang on. I was in Gran Canaria last week, and the infrastructure and public transport they have is years ahead of Ireland. Their diesel prices were around €1 per litre, 60 plus cents cheaper than us. Our politicians, well, they're taking the mick out of the mick, they say. Yeah, I remember years ago, my parents were in Albufeira, I think, and prices were still kind of expensive, or they felt expensive at that time. But anyway, I thought it was a good idea with my brother, flew into Spain, and we hired a little car, and when I say a little car, it was a little car, and drove from the airport in Spain to Albufeira. Now, I'm not great with remembering in each and every detail, but I don't really remember turning, if you know what I mean, turning the steering wheel. It felt at that time, and I covered more than the distance between Donegal and Dublin in half the time. And the road was just wide and straight and long and pothole free. So yeah, in different countries, they seem to have a better roads infrastructure. A lot of people upset about this 7 million being spent on the old courthouse in Letterkenny. Check out our news website if you don't have all the details. But this caller believes it's a waste. What's more needed is a new general hospital in the west coast of Donegal. Did you ever go to the A&E when it's very busy? And that's every day. Patients waiting on beds, sometimes 24 hours and more. Staff under pressure, as well as that. There's a lot more things that 7 million could be used for. But, 7 million. We spend more than that in 2 days on IPAS centres and hotel accommodation for Ukrainians. So, I mean, when you put it into the wider context, 7 million for a new facility for the community of Letterkenny. I mean, it's so much money, but in this day and age, 7 million almost seems like nothing given the level of spending. A caller says a lot of racism is because people believe that the state is treating other races different to how they treat Irish people. Did the journal examine hatred against other minorities like travellers and the disabled? Well, a lot of the hate crimes actually already is including people of the travelling community, and there is a kinship between travellers and other minorities because they do have very similar experiences, it has to be said. But there's a very important point in your... there's a very important point, I think, contained within your text, because you blame the state for treating other races different as to how they treat white Irish people. But we're talking about levels of abuse and hatred towards people of other races, the travelling community, etc., not the state. The state kind of gets off scot-free in relation to that. So why not divert the hate and the anger towards another human being? If you cut, they bleed. If you needed that blood, you'd take it, right? Why put anger towards them instead of those that you actually blame, not you, the texter, the people who create people differently? Do you know what I mean? The anger sort of doesn't go to the state, it goes to the others. And that's not just in this instance. I'm on about it could be pitching those on social welfare versus the working and vice versa. Those on medical cards and those that just can't get medical cards. Those who can get bus places and those that can't get bus places, over and over and over again. And it's often the people who turn on each other, really, when there's a common denominator in resolving those issues. Greg, this is the first year in 10 years my husband and his friends went to the ploughing. Yesterday, they spent the day and home last night. Normally he went Tuesday, home Thursday. All right, so he only went one day. Why was that? Tell me more. 086 60 25,000. It's jackpot day. Good luck if you are playing Radio Bingo.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Thursday, September 18th. Jackpot day. Playing for the jackpot prize of €9,600 on the pink sheet. Reference number is S9. It's week 38. The jackpot number is 61. This number can come out in any position from the next 10 numbers drawn. Today's numbers are 57, 65, 67, 46, 32, 49, 19, 1, 72, and 53. Phone your claim to 9104833 before midnight tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland Bingo information at highlandradio.com.
McGowan Hearing, one of the longest established audiologists in the Northwest, now have weekly clinics in Letterkenny, Buncrana and Carndonagh. Book your free hearing aid consultation at one of these clinics or with audiologist Darren McGowan in your own home. Call 07191 00208 or visit mcgowanhearing.com.
Are you going through intense treatment, alopecia or hair thinning? At the Donegal Wig Centre and Patrick O'Day Hairdressing, we have over 30 years experience helping people feel themselves again. In our private consultation suite, we have the largest selection of beautiful wigs and hairpieces in the Northwest, and we're HSE approved. To arrange your private consultation at the Donegal Wig Centre in Letterkenny, call us today on 9125476.
It's Cabaret 25 at Harvey's Point. We start again on Wednesday, September the 3rd, and every Wednesday until November the 5th. An amazing lineup of stars, gourmet food, the warmest of welcomes, and all in the beautiful surrounds of Harvey's Point on Lough Esk, Donegal Town. Book today 074 972 2208 or harveyspoint.com. The Harvey's Point Cabaret, a night not to be missed.
Find me somebody to love.
Are you excited about the Dream Sleep event beds?
Yeah, we're made up.
I bet you are. This week get 20% off all bed frames and divans when bought with a mattress. But hurry, offer ends Tuesday. Wow! Dreams. Love your bed.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from 40,000 to 600,000 euro with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Just a bit of traffic news for you. Gardaí and the emergency services are at the scene of a road traffic collision at New Mills in Letterkenny. It occurred a little earlier on today. It's ongoing, so we just don't have any further information at this time, so just keep an eye out for that. Tim Hayes is the former head of communications at the European Commission representation in Ireland and joins us on the programme now. Good morning, Tim.
Yeah, hi, good morning, Greg. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
It's our pleasure. Now, there's an event taking place on Monday in the Central Library in Letterkenny. Talk to me about this event.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the Central Library hosts one of the European Commission's Europe Direct Centres. And the Europe Direct Centres are places where people can go to find information about the European Union. And we have them spread all over the country. In fact, in Donegal, you're quite lucky because you have one in Letterkenny and also one in the Gaeltacht in Gweedore. And the Europe Direct Centres run various events to increase people's knowledge about the European Union. And the event on Monday is just one of these events, and it's been organised by the people in the Central Library. And they've asked me to speak a little bit about the subjects of miscommunication, information, and the difficulties that we're having with social media. And it's my pleasure to be able to go there. As you said, I previously worked with the European Commission. Now I'm a member of what we call Team Europe Direct, which is a group of people who know a little bit about the European Union. And we're invited to go and speak to people and to increase people's knowledge about the European Union. So everybody's welcome at the Central Library in Letterkenny on Monday at 11 o'clock. You've got to register beforehand, but you'll find that information on the website.
What is the thrust of what you'll be talking about? What is mis and disinformation in this day and age?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that, people look at what happened in the UK during the time of the Brexit.
I do that one all the
referendum.
time for some reason, mostly in the morning.
And you can see that, actors use social media to try and persuade people to take a view that they wouldn't normally have perhaps taken. And the thing about misinformation is that it's something which is, maybe vaguely true, maybe a little bit untrue, but it's something that people use to change people's minds. This information is a little bit more cynical. It's where bad actors try and change something in the minds of people, and they tell lies or they tell untruths, and you find it quite often in some of can I take, for example, Russia has been using disinformation in the context of elections and referendum in nearby countries, because obviously it doesn't want to lose its power in these countries.
But
So therefore,
who determines what it is and who polices? Is it just using your Brexit analogy for an example? One of the biggest spreaders of mis and disinformation was Boris Johnson, who then went on to lead Britain, lead the United Kingdom, right? So that, I mean, Donald Trump, for an example, very clearly he signed a letter that was given to Jeffrey Epstein for his 50th birthday, and now just point out he's saying he didn't do it, right? Now, he did do it, because if this was some sort of a setup, it would be 30 years in the planning, presuming that eventually he would become president of the United States. So I'm just giving Emmanuel Macron had a tete-a-tete with his wife before they exited an aeroplane and tried to make out that this was AI generated. Disinformation, misinformation, nonsense, right? So I'm just giving the leadership of three main countries there. We could also even talk about the housing figures in Donegal, in Ireland being massaged, right? So commencements are being counted incorrectly by the actual government itself. So, and I'm not trying to get political with you, by the way. I'm just trying to give examples, right? So who are the arbiters then of mis and disinformation when we have leaders of nations who themselves employ mis and disinformation when it suits them?
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right, Greg. I mean, the thing is that, social media has sort of taken over our lives. I mean, we no longer run out in the morning and buy newspapers to see who's died. We get the information from the radio and from the social media. And the thing is that the social media has been used for political purposes. And sometimes it's very, very difficult to see what is true and what's not true. And I mean, in the commission, they started a project to look at fact checking. And sometimes you see some of the media doing fact checking. And for example, if there are debates on the television, you get somebody on the side. No, is what he has said about these figures true? Is this absolutely true, or is it not true? But you're right. I mean, the idea that politicians try to persuade people of their views, has been there for time immemorial. It's just that things have become a little bit more nuanced, if you like, or maybe even a little bit more dangerous now, that it is so easy for people to spread incorrect or misleading information.
You see, I just get the impression that what might happen is an example might be given that a crime occurs in Dublin, and then certain elements on social media claim that an illegal immigrant or an immigrant is responsible for that. It causes riots. As it turns out, that wasn't true. Of course, that is an example of mis and disinformation, okay? But the problem is again, I'll ask, who are the arbiters of that? Who determines that when the powers that be themselves are engaged in mis and disinformation all of the time? So the easy excuse is to sort of use one example of a highly contentious sort of social subject, but it doesn't really, for me, talk to the wider thing that, I mean, for example, is if the leader of Germany comes out right and says a genocide is not happening in Gaza, is that mis or disinformation?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that what the European Commission has done is it's tried to bring together all of the social media platforms and to introduce a sort of if you like, a standard that they have to live with. And the social media platforms are interested in being as compliant as possible. Obviously, they always say, oh, look, we're not publishers, we're not even editors. We just take the stuff as it comes on social media. So even on X some time back, they removed this whole idea of monitoring or editing of what it was that people were saying. So it's a very dangerous tool. I mean, it's a new tool. It's something that people haven't had a chance to get to terms with. But the difficulty is that right now, a lot of people, in particular the younger generation, are using social media and what they see on the internet as being fact. We always had this problem, in fact, with newspapers. I mean, just think about the situation in Ireland, where, for example, a political party set up its own newspaper, which is no longer in Ireland. But the idea was that you could use light propaganda to pass on your message. And it's the same when it comes to Gaza. It's the same when it comes to Ukraine. It was the same in the Second World War.
Okay, well, just in relation to that, then again, publicly funded TV stations like RTE or the BBC are very, let's say, very sympathetic to Israel. Okay, but are diametrically opposed to Russia. Okay, so and I'm not. By the way, I'm not coming at this from any angle or trying to paint anyone into a corner, Tim. I'm just pretty normal and I look on and observe. Do you get where I'm coming from, right? So how is that any more untrue, or how is that any more misinformation or disinformation than what Jimmy in his mother's basement might put on X? Do you know what I'm on about? Again, I'm sorry, I just think this is much bigger. So why is Russia bad and Israel good in state-funded media? So where's the mis and disinformation? And could Russia not be having a conversation now and saying, look what the Irish and English are doing in terms of how they frame what we're trying to achieve? And I just think the conversation has got bigger than focusing on, as I say, one Egypt saying something on X.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that what it boils down to is democracy, and it's a combination of the right to free speech plus the right of the people to be able to educate themselves and form their own opinions. And that's the basic problem that we have with this information. This is why we're trying in the European Union to build what we call a democracy shield to avoid the fact that people get inundated with these bad ideas, these incorrect ideas, these false rumors. And the thing is that people should be in a position to find out themselves what it is, what is true, what is not true. And in the organizations such as the government, the European Union, we've got to find a way to ensure that democracy reigns supreme, because that's what we're built on in Europe. We're built on democracy. So you're looking at something like Russia. It's not very democratic to take over your neighbor, but at the same time, I've spoken to people who were tuned in with what was happening in Russia at the time, and they were saying that Putin was painting the West as the aggressor in this case, and the people actually believed it.
Yeah, but there's a strong argument. I'm not going to say battle. There is a strong argument that the West was the aggressor, and that there was ample opportunity. There was ample opportunity for Joe Biden and Putin to sit around a table and talk about his concerns of NATO inching ever closer to the Russian border. I mean, that is worthy of conversation. And I mean, now you have Donald Trump himself, who's actually stating that was the case. But I don't want to drag you into sort of other spaces. I know exactly what you're. I just feel that social media as a user was had a very liberal lean to it. And I think, really, to be honest with you, other voices were actually silenced in that space. Now it's gone the other way, where the left and right feel they can say anything in these spaces as well. And I think a lot of the centrists don't even go into these spaces any longer. When was the last time you saw a travel blog on X? You're not doing that stuff anymore. I don't post on it anymore because I don't need the flack or the rows, right? So I think that space has become that space.
Yeah, great. But the issue is then, you look at the results of elections and you see to what extent the extremists win or don't win. And you see the change over time. Take France as an example, where the right wing in France have sort of come from, single percentage figures to a question of, which of the people in the National Front is going to be the next leader in France. So you have this movement whereby social media, writes its own agenda.
But is that not good? Is that not? You talked of democracy. Is it not democratic that people? Just because maybe I don't agree with right-wing politics, it doesn't mean I want social media to not give them a platform to grow.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing is that our democracy is based on representative democracy, whereby the people vote and they elect the politicians, and they trust the politicians then to make decisions for them. And you'll always get at sides, the right side or the left side, you get, 10 or 15% of the people who want to be against the government or who want to do something else or who want to be populist. But the difficulty is that, and I'm straying a little bit into politics now, the difficulty is that sometimes these populist parties actually fear going into government because they don't want to. And if you look at places like the Netherlands, for example, where splinter groups have got into government, they didn't last very long because, it's easy to sit on the sidelines, if you wish, and throw brickbats at people. It's a far different story when you're actually in government and have got to make the decisions.
We see that to some extent in Italy, Poland as well, I think, at different times. Right, so this free talk is on Monday, the 22nd of September at 11 a.m. It's in the Central Library, Letterkenny. It's on the challenges of misinformation and disinformation with the EU. And the event also will highlight Sustainable Development Goals Week. People need to register, I believe. Isn't that correct? Do I have that information? I do. Okay, I'll read that out. I hope for 1 second, Tim, you didn't deem me to be argumentative. That wasn't my point. It's just an area I find very, very interesting.
It's a fascinating area, and there are so many sides to it. And you coming from a journalistic perspective would obviously have your own side.
Yeah, exactly. Well, anyway, listen, thanks so much. Anyway, thank you. Take care.
No,
all right,
it's been our pleasure. Listen, thank you so much.
Bye-bye. Take care of yourself. Right. If you're interested in that, how do you register? EU direct at donegallibrary.ie, EU direct at donegallibrary.ie, or telephone 07491 24950. We have that info here if you want that. I'm misinformation. It's everyone's using it now. Everyone uses it, and some of the, did you take my point that I was trying to make? As long as we're not trying to, I see what's happening again in the States. They're trying to shut out sort of liberal voices and deplatform people, get them sacked and what have you. That's not free speech either. Free speech is not free of consequences. So if I say something, I can use free speech to say something about someone, but if I say something that's libelous, they can take my house off me. So I can say it, you could say, but I'm not free of consequences in doing so. But I think that needs to be in a level playing field, respectful, non-hate, non-incitement to violence, but also the ability to speak freely. And you can't quieten a voice like Tommy Robinson's in the UK, for example, because there's millions of people that agree with him, that they're concerned with how Britain is going. Are you supposed to deplatform those people, not allow them to speak? In a way, then, that actually, their stock rises as a result. So. Anyway, any views on that? Would you be interested in that talk on Monday? Let me know. 086 60 20 5000.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
If you're aged 59 to 70, we will invite you for a free HSE bowel screening home test. Screening can help find signs of bowel cancer early, before any symptoms show, making it easier to treat.
It's colourless, it's odorless, it's hard to detect. So carbon monoxide deserves your respect. It can kill you stone dead in just 3 minutes flat. And if you don't believe me, ask me dear Uncle Pat. Thanking you. Coal, turf, oil, gas, even wood, any fuel can harm. So get yourself a carbon monoxide alarm, or you might just wake up dead.
Save on home essentials with Homeland's September mega deals. There's Lions tea bag 600 pack now only $19.99. Save 15% on Royal Canin mini, medium or maxi dog food bags. And there's 25 litre double chamber ash vacuum now $49.99. Save €15. All this and more until September 21st. In store and online at homeland.ie.
Loganair says, let the wee ones fly. Kids aged 11 and under go fare free. Just pay the taxes. Your next family adventure awaits. Book by the 23rd of September. Find deals at loganair.co.uk. T's and C's apply, subject to availability. Children must travel with a full fare-paying accompanying adult.
It's Patrick Feeney here, and I'm looking forward to the Highland Radio Country Music Weekend at the Clanry Hotel in Letterkenny this October the 31st and November the 1st. I'll be on stage along with Michael English, David James, Stacey Breen and Jordan McFadden. It's going to be 2 fantastic nights of music and dancing, but spaces are filling fast, so book now at theclanryhotel.com or highlandradio.com.
Don't delay when you get your bowel screening invitation. Call us today on 1-800 45 45 55 or visit bowelscreen.ie. From the HSE.
Welcome back to the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio. Just a bit of an update to that traffic news I gave you a little earlier. A road closure is in place as a result of a road traffic collision that occurred on the R250. That's at New Mills. Now, diversions are in place via New Mills Bridge and at Rahidog onto the L5994 through Drummonord. Now, the diversion route is narrow. So drivers, HGV drivers, I'm talking to you, please consider an alternative route and please avoid the area if at all possible. We don't have any further details as that's an ongoing activity, but we'll bring them to you just as soon as we can. Now, Noel Cunningham is Harvey's Point hotel ambassador and author and friend of the show. Good morning to you, Noel. How are you getting on, my friend?
Good morning. And Greg, I'm delighted to say, and you at Highland Radio are such supporters. I'm down in Galway and we're opening a lovely charity shop for Cancer Care West.
Oh, wow.
So
lovely.
It's very exciting. We're opening a beautiful charity shop out in Uachtarard. And of course, again, thank you for your support of the Donegal Camino, yourself, and of course, the Rabbit family and everybody at Highland. We are so grateful.
Oh, no, listen, that's fine. And we do appreciate that. But this conversation is about Harvey's Point. And it's obviously a very, very big year because it's the 25th anniversary of the big cabaret shows. 25 years. Can you believe that, by the way?
It's unbelievable. And, you know, it couldn't have happened a better year because we just were voted the number one hotel in Ireland by Paulo Cornelia, the respected travel writer with The Independent, and enter the Hall of Fame. And that combined with this anniversary of something that 25 years ago was very unusual. You know, nobody did dinner cabaret shows up in our part of the world. It was more for the old Jury's Hotel in Ballsbridge. And, you know, nobody ever thought that, well, a cabaret would work beautifully in Donegal. And thus it was proved. And 25 years later, people come from all over the Northwest and right across to Belfast, down to Cork, over to Galway. It's quite extraordinary, and we are so grateful to the great people who support us and many who come back year after year. And I will use the opportunity to say thank you for helping us achieve that 25 years of lovely entertainment, delightful dinner, and just a lovely night out in the midst of, you know, when we're kind of at a loss as to what to do with the visitors who are staying with us, or you have people coming to visit our county for the first time to have something to recommend. You know, it's just a kind of a phenomenon, really, the Harvey's Point Cabaret, and we're always amazed that there we start again, and all of a sudden our houses are full. It's great.
It's not surprising it's so successful, I don't think, because obviously you've got regular people returning, but you've got the shoulders of the tourism season this year as well. So there's still loads of visitors around, and there aren't many nights out that are, you feel like, truly like a special night, a date night or an anniversary night or something that marks a special moment or a special occasion with someone who's special to you, because, you know, it's €75 per person. For that, you get a lovely 5-course meal, don't you? Eamon Gillespie is your fabulous host as well, and then a range of fantastic acts. And there's just not much like that local.
That is true. And, you know, we chose wisely when we chose Wednesday evenings, and the current season runs right up until the first Wednesday in November. We chose wisely because on a Wednesday, throughout Ireland. It wasn't, as I would call, a great dance night or a ballroom night. So you had some of Ireland's finest artistes, you know. Think Michael English, think you name them. We've had them all, and they're at a loose end on a Wednesday. So they were always delighted to come and have a slightly different evening with us, and they did it at a reasonable cost, which helped us to put it on and to be able to, you know, have a show with lots of variety and lots of different artists. And as you say, for any special occasion, and a special word to Eamon Gillespie, who makes every special occasion extra special. And when he returned to Harvey's Point, I was so glad to see him coming back, because I myself hosted it for about 14 years when Eamon went off to gain further experience in different areas of life. And then he came back to us, which was a great bonus for the cabaret and for the hotel.
And just another word too, in Harvey's Hotel hitting the top of the Hot 100 list of Ireland's best hotels 25. That is an automatic entry into the Hall of Fame. And just to give you some sense of the names it's joining: Ashford Castle in County Mayo, Kelly's Resort Hotel and Spa, Wexford, Adair Manor in County Limerick. So it is right up there with... and it always has had a place amongst the greatest destinations. And of course, your neighbours and friends too, the Loch S Castle, making its way up the top 100 list as well, which is good. And Arnold's Hotel in Dunfanny, again, another... the hotel industry and people within it work very closely. So each will enjoy the other's success. There's no doubt about that. Right, okay, so... the show opens at 6:45. Performances starting promptly at 7:30 p.m. And you can make your reservation by calling 07497 222 08. And have a great night. Now, I want to say one thing. When you're back recording your advert next for Harvey's Point, Noel, are you with me?
I am.
Right, you used to say 07497 222 08. Okay, and I like that. But I note in your most recent advert, you say 974 222 or 22208, and I just don't think it's got the same pizzazz. So I would implore you, the next time you're up, I want to see a return to 22208. Could you do that for me?
Greg, I always do when I'm told, and I'm so glad. I'm so glad you mentioned our other great hotels in Donegal, like Arnold's, Rathmullen House, Loch S. We are all doing something for our county to attract people to our county, to attract more visitors, to put on a better offer for local and tourists alike. So if you want to know more about us, please call me on 07497 22208.
Thank you. That's all I wanted. Come here, enjoy your trip and go away. Thank you so very much indeed, Mr. Noel Cunningham there. So well done to Harvey's, the other hotels mentioned there as well. As we mentioned, Monday night in the Abbey, they've the bar area and the seating area all nicely lit and cosy. I haven't been in there for quite some time, I'll be completely honest with you. But down the back, full, absolutely full of people eating, and quite a number in the bar, and live music on a Monday night as well. You know, so I've mentioned a lot of hotels, so I'm not favouring one over the other. But there's people doing amazing things and working really hard still in the hospitality sector as we get even ever closer. And I think really for the tourism season is there almost up to Halloween, if not Halloween and beyond now. It's just a different type of clientele and probably a bigger spending cohort. Right, okay, back with more after these.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Madar le cúdach leanaí, an melissa got céin a daoine is scoil agus a goman de linmh chuirde leirtlo?
De réir túsáte de leanaí ní mór de gach agriocht atá gobar le leanaí agus tína óga bearta ládra a chur bhaim chun leanaí a chusant. Chun tuile óla se áil thusáte de leanaí téigwig gov.ie/children first.
Ba leanaí sin fad trá, inis tugamid tús áte de leanaí. Teachtareacht ó Rialtas na HÉirdean.
Host your next corporate meeting or event at Century Complex in Letterkenny. With 4 high-tech function rooms, we've got the perfect space for every group size and need. Professional, flexible and fully equipped all under one roof. Call Century Complex on 07491 21976 today for more information or to make a booking.
All around Ireland, ordinary people are doing amazing things every single day with Return. Charities, clubs and organisations are fundraising for causes big and small to benefit their communities. They're turning empty bottles and cans into everything from football kits to park benches, playground equipment to men's sheds, and food bank donations to defibrillators. It's never been easier to get involved and do something good for your community. So come and join the thousands of initiatives using Return for Good at return.ie.
Ah, that's the sound of Caller, of cosy movie nights in, shove over, of the post-match get the cold out of your showers, a fry-up on a Sunday morning. It's the sound of homes running on easy, efficient energy. And right now, homes not on the gas network can get a free boiler by switching from oil to Caller gas for their home energy and heating. So every day sounds a little more like this. Nice and toasty in here. Caller, the energy that connects us. Terms and conditions apply. See calorgas.ie for details.
She's the Queen of Country and Irish, Margot, live in concert. Catch Margot with the Ryan Turner Band Wednesday the 22nd of October at the Mount Derrigal Hotel in Letterkenny with special guests Shinny Cramsey and Damian Davis. Tickets available now at the hotel reception. Call 07491 22 700. Join Margot at the Mount Derrigal Hotel October 22nd for an unforgettable evening of music and memories.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by McElhenny's. With new season styles arriving daily, discover the latest fashion, footwear and accessories for autumn in store or shop online at mcelhennys.com today.
So, mainly dry this morning. Outbreaks of rain and drizzle will move northwards through the afternoon along with mist and some hill and coastal fog. Feeling mild, temperatures 16 to 18 degrees in mostly light to moderate southerly winds, freshening a little later on from a south to southwest direction. Now, the weekend, just to give you a wee heads up in case you're planning anything, it brings the potential for some unsettled, wet and possibly windy conditions, but that's mostly in the south and east. And Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, certainly looking middling for us up here. Not roasting, low teens, but bright and dry. Hi, Greg. I hear you're a lefty now. I heard it on the wireless, so it must be true. I don't think so. I don't think I am. But there you are. I don't think I'm anything. I don't think I belong to any group. I really don't feel like I do. I just watch on and I see people almost implode and I see... Anyway, it doesn't matter. I really don't want to sound like I'm ranting. Roadworks need done. I agree with that part, but saying leave early doesn't always make sense, especially for parents when there's laws in place because you can't drop kids off at school before a certain time. Yeah, that's the lived reality there too, isn't it? 5 million per day, that would clear up the defective blocks crisis in a short time. Yeah, I know what you're referencing there. I appreciate your time. The problem with the roads is the council hold on to the money all year to see do they need to use some of this money for something else. Then the last 3 months of every year, they try and spend what is left over all at once. This happens every year. I'm not quite sure it's like that because then there's additional money that comes in, top-up money and stuff. But anyway, I find it hard to believe that the appeals board was set up and has made no decisions, has not interacted or answered anybody. There's no records of meetings. This is one that is very strange. And again, we have a very specific inquiry in with the Department of Housing in this regard. Deliberate government bureaucratic abuse when it should be a user-friendly, stress-free process. Right, okay, that's another opinion there, and we do appreciate them all. 08660 25,000. We have more comments over here. I just have to lean a little bit. My apologies. Greg, thank you for your show. You've totally exposed your guest for what they're trying to do. Believe us. Do not ask questions. We are the truth. Everything else is disinformation. I cannot believe the Irish government is edging closer and closer to communism and hope that people finally wake up to what is happening, not just across Ireland, but across Europe. Another total rubbish. The EU may have started off with democracy, but they've moved to a European style of democracy, which is a cross between democracy and dictatorship, where the large players rule and everything else is based on money and control. Greg, what you're describing is social pushback. There was never any censorship beyond legitimate hate speech, only people pushing back against what other people said, and people crying that they were getting pushed back, which eventually convinced enough people like you that they are victims for getting pushed back for bigotry. I'm so sick of this argument. We have Trump threatening Australia because a journalist asked him a question he didn't like. 2 Late Show hosts now cancelled because they were critical of him. This is what actual censorship looks like, not getting your feelings hurt because some blue hair called you racist for saying something racist. Well, firstly, I'm sorry if you didn't insert me in it. Jimmy Kimmel, or Kimmel, what's his name? It is Jimmy Kimmel. He had his show pulled overnight. Now, what he said was that the person responsible for shooting Charlie Kirk was a member of the MAGA movement. Now, that's not true, right? So he's used his platform to spread a mistruth. It is not true, and it's measurably not true as well. So, I mean, he wasn't cancelled for... I mean, it is free speech. I don't think he should have been cancelled. I think people should be free to say what they have to say to some extent. But he did say a blatant lie, a demonstrable, provable lie. And he's paid the price for it. But again, Trump's pulling the strings in the background. And a lot of that's to do with a merger between 2 big media organizations in the US, and the regulator appointed by Trump has sort of said, right, you know, if you don't get your ducks in a row, we're going to stop this merger. So it really then comes down to money, doesn't it?
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
All across Ireland, music fills cafes, salons, offices, gyms and restaurants. It creates a vibe, makes people smile. It might even turn a 4-star review into a 5. Music can lift moods, boost sales and improve staff morale. Whether your business plays background radio or a curated playlist, you need a music licence. It ensures music creators are fairly paid for their work. Buy your licence today at imro.ie/pay now. Because music drives business.
Meet Louise. She made big savings on her car insurance when she made the switch to Outsurance.
Hi, I'm Louise. It's true, I saved €212 when I made the switch. And with the Out bonus, I'll get 10% of my premiums back in cash after 3 years claim-free.
Happy days. For a competitive car insurance quote like Louise's, call 1-800-600-400 or visit outsurance.ie. Real people, unreal savings. Outsurance. You always get something out. Based on a like-for-like policy comparison, the customer received a gratuity for their participation. Out bonus calculated less taxes and levies. Acceptance criteria, terms and conditions apply. Car and home insurance is underwritten by Outsurance DAC. Outsurance DAC trading as Outsurance is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
We all have questions on how to keep our kids safe online.
How do I get her to spend less time on her phone?
Where do I even start with all the apps she's on?
How do I talk to my students about bullying and social media?
There are things we can do to support children online. Visit webwise.ie for free advice for parents, teachers and young people.
From helpful guides to talking points on image sharing, gaming and more, visit webwise.ie, helping schools and families keep children safe online. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
Worldwide travel made easy from Donegal Airport. Twice daily Aer Lingus flights via Dublin connect you to Aer Lingus and Qatar's global network. Enjoy a smooth journey. Book now at aerlingus.com and start your next adventure from Donegal Airport.
You want a little treat but not chocolate or gelato? Check out this coffee that we made called Bravato. Sit and sip it slowly, or if you're in a rush, it tastes as good on foot or while you wait for the bus. Deliciously different. Get your new favorite cup. If you want some roasted goodness, come hit us up. Your taste buds have voted. They want a flavor that's goated. They are ready to thrive. Now Bravato's arrived. Deliciously different. Find your nearest store at bravado.com.
Cutting through the spin. The 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
It's 11 o'clock, time for a news update, and it's good morning once again to Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. The R250 road in New Mills is closed following a crash this morning. The collision occurred at around 10 a.m. Gardaí are appealing to motorists to avoid the area. Diversions are in place via New Mills Bridge and at Rahadog onto the L5994 through Drummondknott. Gardaí, however, say the diversion route is narrow, so HGV drivers are urged to consider an alternative route. No further details are known at this time. The North West Regional Assembly is warning of significant delays in the delivery of critical infrastructure projects in the region. The body forecasts that just 14 out of 35 identified priority infrastructure projects are likely to be shovel-ready for delivery by 2030. The 10T project is one of the 14 expected to begin within the coming years. However, the prospect of the A5 beginning is uncertain due to ongoing legal issues around it. The state pathologist is due at Wasteground in North County Dublin, where a body was found during the search for a missing child. The skeletal remains were uncovered at the site near Donabate yesterday. Gardaí had been combing the land as part of their investigation to find Daniel Arabos, last seen around 4 years ago. The Finance Minister is defending the government's spending plans after criticism from the central bank. The bank is warning the proposed budget package of €9.4 billion is unnecessarily big. It says the government must cut back on its infrastructure budget or raise taxes to sustain its current spending. A Donegal deputy says no child should be denied the opportunity to grow, thrive and learn. Deputy Charles Ward says it's unacceptable that over 400 children across the country were unable to start school this month as parents struggle to secure a place at an appropriate school to meet their child's needs. Survivors of mother and baby homes in Donegal are being urged to apply to be part of the National Centre for Remembrance's steering group. The centre is being developed in Dublin on the site of the last Magdalen laundry to close and will remember all those who spent time in institutions across the country. The Defence Forces is donating 34 vehicles to help Ukraine in its war effort. 3 demining robots have also been provided. Taoiseach and Defence Minister Simon Harris says it's a further indication of Ireland's steadfast support for Ukraine and a practical example of non-lethal aid. And Gardaí in Donegal are warning motorists to never take to the roads if their vehicle is not in a roadworthy condition. It's after one of the tyres of a vehicle stopped on Main Street, Dunloe yesterday was discovered well below the recommended tyre thread depth. Gardaí say it was less merry from Dunloe and more scary from Dunloe. Those are the latest headlines. We'll be back with an update again at 12 noon.
All right, thanks very much for that, Michaela. Back with more after a short break. Stay right where you are.
There are silent conversations that happen on our roads every day between drivers and older pedestrians like me. When we catch each other's eye to say, "Do you see me?" or "I'm crossing." But when people don't look out for each other, those connections can be missed. And so can I.
Too many older pedestrians are being killed on our roads. When we look out for each other,
we keep each other safe.
Please look out for older pedestrians. From the Road Safety Authority. Visit rsa.ie.
A caller says the EU is not a democracy, it's a dictatorship. They don't represent the people who elect them. If you don't vote right in a referendum, they'll rerun it, until they get what they want, believes one listener there. Another, the old courthouse in Letterkenny is a listed building, which means you cannot change its old facial charter facing the head of the town, which was there when Justice Walsh Road didn't exist. 7 million is a lot of money to spend on refurbishment works. Only the project needs to be reassessed in terms of cost there. Greg's making a lot of assumptions about what listeners think. Never will I make an assumption what a listener thinks. The state thrives on divide and rule tactics. Hatred laws exist, but what was the breakdown of hatred crimes overall? The guards have not taken one hatred case against a disabled person anywhere in Ireland, for example, which I didn't say. It was a reference to a journal investigates which suggested a certain level of hate crime towards people of colour. And the only thing I referenced is that also people of the travelling community are represented as victims in that as well. I didn't mention anyone with a disability, but listen, thank you for that. Lorna joins me now. Hi, Lorna.
Hi, Craig.
How are you keeping?
Not very well.
Yeah. Okay, and you're really speaking publicly, seeking advice and or support, and it all centres around your 4-year-old daughter. In your own time and in your own words, what situation do you find yourself in, Lorna?
I'm in the situation where my daughter is getting put out of education just because she's type 1 diabetic and they don't have full-time SNA support to support her needs.
Okay, so the phone broke up a little bit there. If it doesn't improve, we'll switch to a regular line. But your 4-year-old daughter, type 1 diabetes, recently started primary school. She's been put out of school because there is not adequate support for your daughter.
Yes.
Now, is this because there aren't enough SNAs available in the school, or there isn't provision for SNAs for this type of medical condition? What have you been told as the reasons for this?
At the minute, there is 2 SNAs in the school, but they are already for 2 other children what has been approved, the levels of need, what they need. So for the safety of my child, she cannot attend school because there is no SNA support to support her.
Now, there was some level of support in place, but the funding of that's the issue. Is that correct?
Yes. They took it upon themselves to take on her SNA from preschool to there for the other SNAs to shadow her and see how things go. But the funding has run out. So as of tomorrow at 2 p.m, my daughter will be out of school because they don't feel what they're up to the needs and what she needs, the safety of it's life and death. She needs constant monitoring of her blood sugars.
But she also needs to be with her peers in school. If that can be
Yes.
monitored and controlled or medicated, she needs to be in school for her future development. The school are a bit hamstrung as well on this. I presume they recognise the need for an additional SNA or additional supports for your daughter. Have applications been made in that regard? And is that why the AIM support was in with a view to maybe, getting an extra person in there?
Yes, that is it. She was denied when she was enrolled and we appealed it. So when we appealed, they gave her split hours, which wasn't going to work out because there is no SNA in that classroom. So it means they were going to be coming at certain times of the day between different classes to check and monitor my daughter, which there's no timetable for diabetes. Her sugars could go high, they could go low at any minute. So it doesn't work. And then they're taking SNAs away from other children in need.
Yeah, and of course, the 2 SNAs in the school, they're already busy with the children that they're working with as well, so they don't have any spare time or attention to also try and manage a very serious, or monitor, your daughter's very serious medical condition.
Yes. I think it's just unfair what she is not going to get the education what she needs or the support. How do I tell a 4-year-old what she can't go to school with her other siblings over her medical condition?
And there's 3 others, exactly. And while she's 4, she's going like, well, why can't I go to school? She's already a taste of it. She sees the routine as well. But also, too, it's for her own personal development and her sense of normal, in inverted commas, to be, heading off to school with her brothers and sisters and to be integrating with others at the same age as she is.
Yes, exactly. I find it so unfair.
So where are we at now, I suppose? Where are we at now in terms of the process? The school has made representations. Is it what actual support is being sought? Is it an additional SNA or is it another person with different skill sets, Lorna? Sorry, pardon my ignorance, just so I'm clear.
Well, the aim is to get another full-time SNA in the school to require to her needs. But it's just not getting where it needs to be. We're getting no response from anybody to get the needs what she needs.
Okay. Yeah, and you've been told effectively the money for the AIM support is not there. And unfortunately, there's no place in the school for her because the school's application for additional support has there been no response, or has it been rejected this year?
Well, it was given the split hours, and then we have appealed again, which it is unsafe for her to be in school. So the board of management and the school staff are not prepared to expose her. They can't help without another S&A.
Yeah, I get you. I understand. Right, well, we'll make our inquiries. If there is anyone out there who's been in a similar situation or can advise, or maybe a politician wants to take up the mantle here, but we will also pursue this as well. It's a heartbreaking situation for the whole family as well. Okay, listen, Lorna, I wish you luck. We'll leave it with us. We'll make inquiries, try and put a bit of pressure on, and maybe that might help in some form or other.
Thank you very much, Craig.
Okay, Lorna, look after yourself, and best wishes to all the family. A caller says, your caller at Drumkeen is mistaken. Just because she knows the back roads at Drumkeen doesn't mean others do. Would she know the back roads of Fawn if this road works there? P.S. Google Maps does not give an alternative. Well, it doesn't. Normally, Google Maps will give you a 3 minutes slower or 2 minutes quicker, and you can click on that if you so wish. But it normally sends you down the quickest routes. In relation, I'll come back to that. Good morning, Greg. It's quite easily solved. Stop all immigration now. Take stock of what we have. We know 85 of them are here for the benefits. 85% they say, so get rid of them and start off properly. Well, 85% of what? Because the people coming into this country, the majority of coming in legally, either on work visas or from other EU countries where they're ordinarily resident. It's a small proportion of that would be seeking international protection. Are you saying that 85% of them are coming here for benefits, or the majority, etc.? A caller says there is hate out there, no denying that, but some of the information is false. Some of the attacks in Dublin didn't happen or weren't reported, according to the Guard. So the mainstream media aren't reporting the truth for the benefit of some people in government. There's a lot going on in all walks of life. Hi, Greg. I thought it was a joke yesterday. Donegal County Council cutting grass on the carriageway going out of Letterkenny. 2 lanes going into one on the busiest time of the day. Could this not be done on a Sunday morning when there's not much traffic on the road? It's a complete disaster. The amount of people has stopped shopping in Letterkenny. It's unbelievable. And I was chatting, do you know, firstly, I find Letterkenny quite accessible, and I understand the businesses and all that kind of stuff. But again, to reference being down in Donegal Town on Monday, chatting to people, I talked to 2 people separately who no longer go shopping in Letterkenny. They simply don't go shopping in Letterkenny anymore because between getting to Letterkenny and getting around Letterkenny, they just don't go there anymore. And that's just 2 I chatted to. And they brought it up, by the way. I didn't sort of ask them, which is kind of interesting. All right, let's take a break as we move into the next segment of Thursday's 9 till noon show.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
If you're going through a difficult time, you're not alone. There are now more mental health support services available for men. These include free counselling sessions, in person or online, as well as confidential phone support, available 7 days a week. Getting support can make a real difference to you and your loved ones. To find out more about the full range of free services available, visit yourmentalhealth.ie/men. From the HSE.
Get the job done with the right equipment delivered direct from Watson Hire in Letterkenny. Free delivery on all equipment has been extended to the Finn Valley area, including Ballybuffet, Stranorlar, Castlefinn and Killygordon. With great daily and weekend deals available, call Watson Hire, Lisnen and Letterkenny on 9167777. See Facebook or visit watsonhire.ie.
Join me, Marty Free, listen every Friday night from 8 for Rocket Hits on Highland Radio in association with Arena 7 Letterkenny. Try their new interactive dartboards with lots of games that all the family can play. See arena7.ie.
Your next new car is waiting at Manor Motors, your Opel dealer in Donegal. This 252, get a €1,000 trade-up booster on any Opel model and enjoy 2.52% finance. Choose from the bold new Corsa, stylish Astra, eye-catching Mokka, or all-new Grandland. Available in petrol, diesel, hybrid and electric. Don't miss out. Visit Manor Motors in Manor Cunningham or see manormotors.ie. Manor Motors, your trusted Opel dealer in Donegal.
Hello, I'm David Foley, medical herbalist. Are you suffering with a cold, flu or sinusitis? Then ask for Irish Botanica echinacea. A traditional herbal remedy, Irish Botanica echinacea is your natural solution to relieve the symptoms of the common cold, flu and sinusitis. Call into the Natural Way, Letterkenny Shopping Centre for more information.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is...
The time now is 11:17. Now, earlier on, we were talking about the frustration of downgraded defective concrete block home owners. They're in limbo. The appeals have been in for ages. They are of the view, and it's hard to dispute, that the downgrading was a desktop exercise that went against on-site examination, doesn't take into consideration further deterioration, and doesn't take into consideration very professional engineers' reports, and also doesn't factor in the fact that evidently, I mean that as in the fact that it can be proven, the houses would be repaired in inverted commas with defective materials still contained within. 100% Redress Councillor Joy Baird sent in this voice message.
Good morning, it's Councillor Joy Beard. I've just been listening to Marty McElhenney and Joe Morgan on your show. I have to say these families have been utterly let down that have been downgraded from their IS 465 registered engineer's decision. I speak to these homeowners every day, and look, the suffering that they're going through with no end in sight is just beyond cruel. The right decision needs to be made. We know that. You've heard from Marty there this morning, and the IS 465 registered engineers' determination that they have the scientific test results there that prove their home has to be demolished. And it's the only option, and that's the recommendation from an engineer too.
All right, that's some of what Joy Baird had to say. 08660 25,000. If you are another of those 80 plus affected homeowners and have a view in relation to that. Right, morning Greg. I had a family member deceased recently and had issues with funeral requests. No photo of the deceased allowed on the coffin, not allowed family member to read a eulogy, a song not allowed to be sung, which we did get in the end. This just added to the family's devastation. I would have great faith, but this just angered me. What is the Catholic Church trying to do to the few remaining people still attending, and why does every priest have different do's and don'ts? Thank you. Yeah, indeed. I've been to funerals recently where some of the things you described was present, so I suppose it depends on which church you attend and which priest is in charge there. Right, moving on. Conor Fulton is a transport commentator and he's joining us now. Good morning, Conor. Thanks for your time.
Good morning, Greg. Nice to see you.
Great to see you and have you on the show as well. Right, okay, perhaps some good news. Are we taking on board some of the warnings? New data would suggest we are.
Well, this is about mobile phone use and using connected devices when you're out and about in the car. The RSA have been doing good work. They did an enormous survey, an observation study of Irish drivers on Irish roads. The field work was done September, October of last year, but there were 26,000 monitors, so in a very, very chunky sample size. And they've done this over the last few years. And what they're doing is looking at passing traffic, seeing who's using devices and logging it. So this year's data seems to show that 6% of drivers were seen using a device. Now that's a bad number, but it's a better number than the previous year. The previous year seemed to be 9%. So maybe some indication we're getting better, but I don't know, Greg. I mean, these types of surveys, they're a little bit limited in what they can achieve. You wouldn't hang your hat on them too much.
No, because another statistic, 2% of light goods vehicle drivers were observed on their phones, down from 13% in 2023. I would love to think that the road safety message is getting home, but I just particularly that reduction, it seems a little bit too optimistic.
Well, exactly. And I think you always have to be skeptical when numbers and statistics bounce around that much. You know, you're very unlikely to be seeing a genuine trend. And to be fair, the RSA know that, and they have caveated their survey results. And it's only one of, many things that's been done in the research area. So they're not hanging their hat on it. But nevertheless, it's pretty useful information, and I think it's a pretty good exercise. And insofar as, we've attached health warnings to the data, but even so, insofar as it shows a trend, it seems to be a good trend, and that's a good thing. So maybe people are becoming a bit more generally aware of, the dangers of being distracted when you're driving.
I just think the definition of distracted driving nowadays is out of date, because a lot of the interactions that would formerly have been done, be it selecting a podcast, selecting a song, people are actually interacting with the center screen in their car. If they're using Waze, for example, which will run in the background even if you aren't using it, it will invite you to interact with the screen, and it'll ask, is the speed van still there? Are the roadworks still there? I just feel, we often think it's like checking an SMS on your phone. I think distracted driving now, we need to widen out the definition of it, because if you're interacting with your center screen on your car, you are distracted from your driving.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. And it's very hard to list all of these things technically in law. And that's a debate that's, pretty old. When mobile phone technology was first introduced, a lot of these conversations were had. People were saying then, you could be listening to the radio, and why is that different from having a phone call? But lots and lots of data demonstrates that it's not. So the stuff that we can actually legislate for, so, holding the phone in your hand, well, that's pretty clear. You get penalty points for that. I don't think anybody's arguing with it. When it comes to being distracted, you can use a hands-free device. You're not breaking a law in doing that. But the Irish road safety law has a catch-all clause in it, which means it's always an offence to drive a car without due care and attention. So if, say, for example, you've got somebody who's shaving or applying makeup, or putting sugar into a cup of coffee, you don't need the law to mention makeup or sugar or coffee. It's an offence to drive without proper attention. So if somebody's like on a hands-free phone call, if their driving is poor, they can be prosecuted for driving without due care and attention. Now, those are difficult laws to enforce, but I guess that's what the law does.
I just, again, and I'm not wish to labour the point, and I've said it a few times, and I don't think it's getting any traction, but let's just say you're using Google Maps or Waze, and you are approaching, you're doing 100 kilometres per hour or 90 kilometres per hour on a main road. And as you're approaching roadworks, just at that point where you should have your wits about you and know that there could be slow moving or stop traffic in front of you, that you get a beep from your center screen saying, "Oh, the traffic work's still there." And it's just the seconds the eyes divert from the road to the screen, which I think, and it's just it's not factored in, I know I've been distracted in the past. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it's a good point, Greg. Push notifications to car users when they're driving, and I've seen that myself. And look, it's a great service to drivers, and that's all good. But I've seen it myself, and I think anybody who's designing apps that interact with cars and drivers, they need to be cognizant of, not being part of the problem, and that there'll probably be a bit of a tug of war with that technology going forward. I mean, cars bristle with technology these days, and one of the problems is it can be very distracting. So if you have an interactive screen as your main console, and it has dozens of submenus and goodies that you could disappear into when you're supposed to be concentrating on the road. The Tesla Center console, for example, is for all the world like an iPad. And like an iPad, you can use it perfectly safely, but it can also be one more thing that really distracts you. We said that about sat-navs when they were separate clunky devices. It's true of them too.
But we still aren't getting a handling on safety on our roads there, unfortunately. We see an awful spate of road traffic collisions on all different types of roads. Obviously we had changes to speed limits. There's further changes coming down the line. Then we've got the controversy coming out of the certain sections of the traffic code within An Garda Síochána and what have you. We're doing an awful lot of talking, and then we're making some decisions, but fundamentally the loss of life continues, the serious injuries continues, the life-altering injuries continue, Conor. I don't feel we're making any inroads.
Well, that's a little bit negative, Greg, I think, to be honest. I mean, the road safety fight, if you like, it's not about making new laws a lot of the time. It's more like weeding the garden. You have to do it constantly. You have to constantly be at work, working in the garden, and if you don't, the weeds are just going to grow back. So the solution isn't new tools and new equipment. It's to get out and do the work. So we physically have to have Gardaí out and about and present, and we do have to pay attention to road safety, as a community, including our guards and including our legislators, on a constant basis. When you neglect it, it drifts backwards. And that's not just intuitive. We've got the data that proves that to us. If you take the long arc of road safety over the last 25 years, with a lot of other countries, we made massive improvements. Older listeners will remember, it used to be an absolute horror story. At one stage, we had 400 road deaths per year. It's now about 180, and that's really bad. We want to improve it. But, context, it used to be double. But nevertheless, coming out of COVID a few years ago, the stats went bad. There's no doubt about it. There was a trend evident there. The road deaths, which had been falling for years, suddenly started going up. So what the hell were we doing or not doing? And as I say, that will constantly be attention. To some degree, new technology in cars might be causing good things or bad things. Social media and, people looking at silly cat videos when they should be concentrating. Maybe all of those things. But I think probably more realistically, what also happened was the Garda Traffic Corps was allowed to die on its backside. It withered down to half its strength. And some of the reporting that came out of the Gardaí showed that it became a disillusioned cohort within the force, under-respected and under-invested, and half the size it's supposed to be. And lo and behold, road deaths started creeping up. I mean, this isn't rocket science. And the solution to fixing it, Greg, is not about dreaming up new laws or wondering, the micro point of when Google Maps ceases being useful and starts being a distraction. It's more basic than that. We need to go out and do the work on a daily, monthly basis.
It is the thing that most influences our behaviour, I think. Yeah. And also, just back to where we started, whether it's 6% of drivers using a handheld mobile device, or it's 10%, or it's 5%, given the amount of cars that are on the road and the amount of journeys that are taking place, it's still an awful lot of people, and it is a major contributory factor to serious road traffic collisions.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, if you throw it across the random sample, and it would mean that, on any given day, at any one moment when you observe a decent stretch of road, there's going to be somewhere between 100 and 150,000 drivers in using a connected device. Now, in some cases, they'll be able to do it safely and they will get away with it. But a bit like alcohol, it's pretty damn clear that you're not as safe as you would otherwise be. So don't do it. And we can't really say to what extent it's directly causing injuries and deaths, but it stands to statistical reason that it must be doing some harm out there. And it's a really poor driving behaviour. It's, and we got to change it. We got to fix it.
Okay, listen, Conor, thank you so much for your time. That's Conor Faulkner, their transport commentator. So 6% of drivers observed using a handheld mobile device. Let me see. Men and women equally inclined to be at that crack. Motorways, less people are doing it on motorways. You're most likely to be on your phone in the car between 7:30 and 9:15 a.m. And lunchtime had higher levels of usage compared to the evenings. And weekend versus weekday between 5 and 7%. So there you go.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from 40,000 to 600,000 euro with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Má tá tú idir chuig ní agus 7 bliain díos, joid tú cuireadh scág hástal potoige báilíon HSE siar an aisce íonna. Cabhraíonn an scág hástal le cóirí luadáil se potoige aimsiú, solamíonn aon symptom le feiceáil agus bíonn sin níos fosa í a chóiráil chomhar.
All around Ireland, ordinary people are doing amazing things every single day with Return. Charities, clubs and organisations are fundraising for causes big and small to benefit their communities. They're turning empty bottles and cans into everything from football kits to park benches, playground equipment to men's sheds, and food bank donations to defibrillators. It's never been easier to get involved and do something good for your community. So come and join the thousands of initiatives using Return for Good at return.ie.
For the biggest names in perfume and aftershaves, visit McGee's Chemist Letterkenny. Dolce & Gabbana, Paco Rabanne, Carolina Herrera, Calvin Klein, Jimmy Choo and Burberry, Ariana Grande, Jean-Paul Gaultier, Vera Wang and many more. From timeless classics to celebrity favourites, there's a perfume or aftershave for everyone at McGee's Chemist Letterkenny and online at mcgees.ie.
Tá ardú cuimhnaí isce I bhaim go fóil limistéir bhaile na ngálóglach go dtí an tríú lá déag de dhearafór. Dawn an sa láthair isce a chosint do chríocha bunríochtanacha. Tá an tordú seo I bhaim margheall an aimsir hirim a bhí an le míana nuas. Rud a churann an inse isce faoi bhrú. Mar a miste leat ná bain úsáid as piabán nó as réadáir. Agus cuimhnaí an tuisce nuair is féidir leat. Le chéile, is féidir linn nar nachhainna isce a chosint. Tuile olalas ag water.ie/WCO. Isce éireann. Séirbhí sé isce a tholáthar d'éireann.
Country Sundays at the Clanry Hotel, Letterkenny. This Sunday it's Jimmy Buckley and his band. Dancing 9 till 11, admission €20. Doors open from 8, with support artists from 8:15, plus music afterwards in McGilligan's Bar. Coming Sunday 28th, it's Mike Denver. But this Sunday it's Jimmy Buckley at the Clanry Hotel, Letterkenny.
Náidé mail nar oin tú de chuireach an scág hástal potoige íana. Glíorín a 8 a náid a cara cuaig a cara cuaig a cuaig a cuaig. No túr cuairt bowelscreen.ie. Own HSE.
I'm joined on the programme now by Professor Alex Miras, Principal Investigator for Peacetime and Clinical Professor in Medicine at Ulster University. And we're going to be speaking in the context of a new £10 million cross-border project aimed at tackling obesity in Derry, Donegal and Tyrone. And good morning to you, Professor. Thanks so much for your time today.
Hello, good morning. Thank you for having me.
Talk to me about this project then, and has it kicked off yet?
So this is a Peace Plus funded project, which is co-funded by the European Union and the UK government. And as you are saying, this is a €10 million investment to set up the first obesity services in the community in Northern Ireland and to enhance the existing services that exist in bordering counties of the Republic of Ireland. And I'm pleased to report that Donegal is likely to be the only area, the only county that we will be operating on, and we will be treating 4,000 patients with obesity and its complications. We have started the preparations, in answer to your question, to launch this project and actually start delivering care, which we expect will start happening in the first quarter of 2026.
So what kind of, well, I suppose in the first instance, is it the plan that people presenting to their GPs and who meet the criteria would be referred to this treatment?
That is exactly right. Remember, this is all going to take place in primary care in the community. The most common form of referral will be through people's GPs, but we're going to try and increase the accessibility to the treatment by allowing referrals from other healthcare professionals as well. With regards to the criteria, it will be a body mass index over 30 together with the common complications of obesity.
And they will be assessed by a multidisciplinary team of professionals. Give us an idea of some of the expertise on hand.
That's right. So they will be assessed by a team of dietitians, psychologists, physical activity specialists, health coaches, and nurses. And what will happen is, depending on how complex their disease is, depending what their needs are, and also how likely they are to engage with a digital intervention, they're going to be offered participation in one of four clinical pathways. So here, what we're trying to do is to, as much as possible, personalize the care that we are offering depending on the individual characteristics.
You will, of course, be offering, detailed expertise and support. But I just wonder, in this day and age, will people be prepared to go down this route? They might visit the very same GP and say, "Look, I've seen friends and family take jabs or what have you, and I've seen them lose a ton of weight." And that's the route I want to go down. Are we in a different space now, whereby there are what could be seen as sort of these more traditional approach to obesity and the fast track approach? And I just wonder, do you think you will get the amount of people that you are preparing for? I have no insight. It's just a curious question.
No, it is actually a very good question. And what we know is that it is right that these medications do work very well. However, having spoken to patients, having spoken to their GPs, what we keep hearing is that people feel that they are not supported when taking them. And what we do know, therefore, from clinical research is that if you combine these medications with the support that we will be giving, the medications will work even better and they will work even more safely. In addition, the support that people get, they very much appreciate. And overall, if you provide this package of care, their quality of life improves even further.
Because we can't sort of crudely compare one's weight with their health either. There are issues with the loss of, not just fat, but also muscle. And a skinny person, if I could put it like that, there doesn't necessarily equal a healthy person. You could have someone who could be clinically obese that might, by a number of metrics, be in better health than someone who could be what would be classed as the ideal weight.
You are absolutely right. And a lot of this has to come down to cardiovascular fitness. One of the elements of our intervention will be to again personalize physical activity treatments so that people can maintain as much muscle mass as possible, if not put on, increase their muscle mass and improve their risk of cardiovascular disease.
Yeah, it's quite interesting not to over focus on the new jobs that are there, but often they're driven by social media. And I've noticed a switch now whereby people were doing their journeys on some of these jobs, and now they're doing their journeys after taking the jobs as well. And for me, it seems they're still locked into perhaps some sort of a cycle or an over obsession or something. I don't know how to phrase it right. But, you can't even enjoy the weight being off because now you're fixating about potentially putting it on. And this is feeding other... really, what I'm getting at, I think if you also tied it in with physical exercise, good eating, looking after your mental health, I think that would be a far more constructive way to lose weight.
Let me just try and simplify what you're getting at. I am a big fan of these medications. And I'm a big fan of anything that works safely. The reason why these medications work is because they act on what we call the biology of obesity. So they make people less hungry, more full, and as a result, they eat less, which causes weight loss. This is the main mechanism of action. But the people who start taking these medications should be prepared, like people who have high blood pressure and take pills, they should be prepared to take these medications lifelong. They are not there for 6 or 12 months. They are there to be taken long term for a chronic disease. But in addition to the good effects of the medications, and the effect I can tell you based on the latest evidence is extremely good, especially in people who are sick, you need to add all of these other components to support the factors that these medications cannot support, cannot deal with.
Yeah, and it's a massive project, and it's really well funded, and it's going to reach an awful lot of people as well. People of all ages, Professor?
People of all ages over the 18, we will not be treating children, but there is no upper limit. And what we want to see, I get asked this question, what would success look like? Well, success would look like actually having an impact on people's health. That's the first thing we want to do and measure, and we will be measuring that very, very extensively. But longer term success is that what we want to do is we want to demonstrate that we can do this in primary care in the community. We can deliver obesity care without needing a hospital. We can do it cost effectively. And the project and the funding can be continued by the individual departments of health in its jurisdiction. I'll make just one point and say that even though this project sounds as being local in nature, I can tell you that based on my knowledge of obesity care around Europe, it's one of the first time, if not the first time, that this is being done properly, systematically as an evaluation. Therefore, its impact will not be just in Donegal and Derry. It will be far beyond.
Yeah, and I've kind of sort of been on the journey, and it's with colleagues of yours going back a long number of years, who were saying, look, obesity is a disease, and it needs to be treated as a disease, and we need to come up with ways of tackling it and recognise the problems and the consequences of obesity. And it's great, I think, that we've arrived to a point now whereby that doesn't need to be clarified, and we're seeing significant amounts of money and expertise sort of backing those, and I'm sure you're amongst them, that recognise that obesity is a serious disease and one that people require help and support in overcoming or dealing with or managing.
I think you're right. We have come a long way in the last 20 years. And that is because we have understood more of the biology of the disease. And we should continue to do that. We should try and understand even more about how much the biology contributes to someone's weight, how much the external environmental factor contributes to someone's weight. And therefore, then in 10 or 15 years' time, we would be able to treat obesity a little bit more like how we treat cancer these days. We're very advanced in our personalization of cancer care. And we want to achieve the same with obesity, where we are very far behind. One more point to make, since we're talking about societal factors, is that we know that obesity nests, it lives, it flourishes in low socioeconomic backgrounds, in people that don't engage with services because they don't have the time, they don't have the resources, they have got other priorities. And what we will be doing is we will be actively seeking to find those people. And we're going to have a community navigator trying to do that and bring them, trying to attract them to this program.
Very, very interesting. And finally, there might be not specifics in relation to this. When are we likely to see GPs having more information on this, maybe having the option for referral? Because there might be some going into the GPs in the next day or two and saying, I heard on Highland Radio of this project, etc. So when will Donegal GPs and Derry GPs, etc., be fully briefed on this, if not already? And when might we start seeing it becoming part of potential treatment plans in the GP surgery?
We're all very excited that this has been launched to the patients. To the patients, I would say, hold your horses for a little bit longer. It won't be too long. We have already engaged with many GPs in Donegal and Derry. We will be being even more active in the latter parts of this year. And as I said earlier, we are expecting to start treating patients in the first quarter of 2026.
Okay, listen, I've enjoyed speaking to you. Thank you, Professor. Take care of yourself.
Thank you very much for having me.
Professor Alex Miras there, talking of that €10 million, I think I might have called it pounds, €10 million peacetime project to tackle obesity with the aim of lengthening lives and reducing suffering and costs, but also sort of being there for people who need help.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Stay ahead with the Irish Farmers Journal. Never miss an issue with our convenient home delivery service and digital subscription. Get trusted news, advice on schemes and cap, and up-to-date mart prices. We have unrivaled dairy, beef, tillage, sheep, pedigree and machinery coverage with technical expertise delivered to your door every Thursday. Plus, instant access to all our premium content on your mobile. Subscribe today and claim the cost against your farm tax bill. Go to www.ifj.ie/subscription.
Luxury living begins at the heart of your home, your fireplace. At Sprat Fireplaces, Newmills, Letterkenny, we offer statement fireplaces, bespoke surrounds, and a wide range of stoves, including gas, wood burning, pellet, and bioethanol models. No chimney? No problem. We'll help you choose and install the perfect solution. Stylish, efficient, and tailored to your home. Call 074 91 24144 or visit spratfireplaces.ie. Sprat Fireplaces, bringing comfort and style home.
Imagine sinking into a perfect comfort every night. At Restex Beds, we believe a better sleep means a better life. Choose from our vast range of quality mattresses and find the one that's perfect for you. Restex Beds, Mountaintop, Letterkenny. Leave the rest to us.
Get ready, Donegal. The big Highland Bingo Party is here.
On Saturday the 29th of November, the Villa Rose Hotel, Ballybofey, transforms into the wildest Christmas party of the year.
Hosted by me, Keith Fletcher, Lee Gooch and Marty Freel on the decks.
Think festive cocktails, classic party anthems, ridiculous games of course, and mad bingo mayhem.
Loads of prizes on the night with the €1,000 top cash prize up for grabs.
You better be quick. Tickets are on sale. Grab yours on Eventbrite or check out highlandradio.com.
The big Highland Bingo Party. Over 18s.
Ha ha! It's bingo, but not as you know it.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by McElhenny's. With new season styles arriving daily, discover the latest fashion, footwear and accessories for autumn in store or shop online at mcelhennys.com today.
So, mostly cloudy this afternoon with rain at times. Highest temperatures 13 to 16 degrees. Light to moderate southerly winds, increasing moderate to fresh southwest this evening. Now, mostly cloudy tonight with some rain and drizzle for a time. Lowest temperatures of 11 to 13 degrees and a moderate to fresh southwest wind, decreasing light to moderate. And Friday, I might as well give it to you while I have it open here. It's going to be a mainly dry day with some brighter sunny spells extending from the west. Highest temperatures of 15 to 17 degrees and light to moderate south west to west winds. Okay, you are tuned to the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio, heading towards the end of the programme. Don't forget to stay tuned. Coming up after 12, John Breslin is going to be live around the northwest playing brilliant music and also keeping you updated with all the crack as well. So don't go anywhere. And after that, we have Jive Time. Is Jive Time from Salou or here? Salou, we don't know. It's not that I haven't a clue, just haven't been told. And that brings you then into Ivan and beyond to great programming too here at the weekends. As was shown in the recent listenership figures, more and more people, like in a big way, listening to Highland Radio at the weekend, which is fantastic. And why not? A great crew, a great set of presenters. A comment in here: with the 7 million being spent on the old courthouse, not be better spent putting a bridge over the Swilly? Yeah, of course, it's about money moving between departments, but I do get where you're coming from. A caller says the fiscal conservative is dead. They died when the Irish successfully split the last global popular movement 15 years ago. Here's a fun statistic for you. Around 80% of all political violence in the last 50 years has been committed by right-wing groups or individuals. 93% of mass killings in the last 20 years have been right-wing individuals. Since Charlie Kirk was shot by what's increasingly looking like a right-leaning guy, yeah, indeed, that's what the stats are saying, 2 black men have been lynched and hung by their necks from trees, while a lynching rap starts trending on TikTok. There's been 3 mass shootings by right-wing shooters. Both sides are using this. It's an absolute joke. We need to stop pretending that the global right should get anything but ridicule and shame until they regain their manners. Right, now, the Cathedral Church of St. Yunan in Rifo has extended an invitation as they celebrate St. Yunan's, and this number. You would think it's a typo to begin with, but it's not. The 1400th anniversary. The Very Reverend Liz Fitzgerald, Dean of St. Eunan's Cathedral in the Diocese of Derry and Raphoe, joins me. Good morning to you. Thank you for your time.
Good morning, Greg, and thank you very much for giving me time to talk to you and speak to you again. It's a pleasure.
What a remarkable anniversary to be marking.
It is a remarkable anniversary. It's the anniversary of his birth. And we came across this statistic whenever we were doing an historic talk to children in the cathedral last year. And we realised that there was this sort of breadth of date as to when St. Yunan may well have been born. And of course, we then reverted to the well-known local historian Brian Lacey. And he reckons that, yes, this year is probably 1,400 years from the birth of St. Yunan.
It's just remarkable that a person and their name is so ever present in sort of in the modern day, but stretches back so far. I don't know why I find that so interesting, but I do. Now, this evening, it's Tuesday, on the evening of Tuesday, the 23rd of September, 2025 at 7:30 p.m. There's a special evening. Tell us what people can look forward to.
Well, back to the history of St. Yunan, or Admonan. My husband's trying to teach me to say things in Irish, Admonan. Admonan was the 9th abbot of Iona. And we all know, of course, our local history of St. Columba Columkill, who went from here to Iona as the first abbot of Iona. And St. Basin was the 2nd abbot of Iona. We also have St. Lugadius, who is from Clonlee, who is one of the oarsmen that rowed with Columkill to Iona. So we've got a huge connection with Iona. And I'm saying, how do we know this? The 9th abbot of Iona was none other than Yunan Admonan from Raphoe, and he was a saint and a scholar and a scribe. And Dr. Brian Lacey is going to tell the story of St. Yunan on the evening of Tuesday, the 23rd of September, in the Cathedral Church. It's really exciting because we wouldn't know of Columkill without St. Yunan, so the two really are synonymous.
Yes, and there's also going to be an update on this lovely little journey Mary Hart's on, the Hunt for Yunan's Monastery project. We all like a little bit of mystery and intrigue, and I think that's been a lovely hook to get all generations talking about Yunan.
Well, it is amazing. To my shame, I was on holiday whenever Mary did her presentation in Raphoe here. And yes, she's the chair of the Raphoe Community in Action, and they are looking at this project. And they are, Mary and Brian Lacey, along with others, are trying to actually ascertain where the foundations of St. Yunan's monastery was. And it is within Raphoe. I'm not going to tell any secrets. It's not going to give anything away. But
no
it
spoilers.
Is such an exciting... No spoilers. But it is evident that St. Yunan belongs to all of us in Raphoe and Donegal. And in fact, St. Eunan's Cathedral is so ancient, it belongs to every one of us.
Okay.
So in respect for these men who have gone to Iona, I've managed to source an Iona Abbey evening liturgy. The liturgy is quiet, it's spiritual, it's very non-denominational. So, and even for those who aren't of strong faith, I think they'll find it a very restful, peaceful time. And then afterwards, we'll have a talk from both Mary about the hunt from St. Eunan's Monastery and from Dr. Brian Lacey, who is published on the history of St. Yunan. And we'll have tea, coffee and conversation after.
Yep, time for a catch-up as well. Now, you would have the capacity for people to just turn up on the evening, I'd imagine, won't you? There's no prior registration required. It's open to everyone from all different backgrounds. You will enjoy that. Okay, the very Reverend Liz Fitzgerald, it's lovely to speak to you again, and I think it's a lovely way for people who are minded to spend an evening, a Tuesday evening next week. Thanks so much.
You are very welcome. Thank you for your time.
No, it's our pleasure. That's the Very Reverend Liz Fitzgerald, Dean of St. Eunan's Cathedral in the Diocese of Derry and Raphoe. And as I say, quite remarkably, they are having a special evening to celebrate the 1400th anniversary of St. Yunan's birth. I suppose you eventually have to settle on a date, don't you? It's on Tuesday, as I mentioned, didn't I, in the Cathedral Church of St. Yunan, and it kicks off at 7:30 p.m. Just to recap what you can look forward to if you're interested, the evening will include an Iona Abbey evening liturgy led by the person we've just spoken, led by the person we've just spoken to, Dean Liz Fitzgerald, and also an update from Mary Hart on the hunt for Yunan's monastery project, and also a short talk on the life of St. Yunan by the published Dr. Brian Lacey on this matter. Tea and coffee and a bit of a chinwag afterwards. There you go. Just to remind you, tomorrow we have our Friday show. This week has flown for me. Last week, because I was off Monday, although I was travelling, arguably work-related. That's 3 days, actually, not 2, Caroline. Saturday, Sunday and Monday. But anyway, that's a totally different matter. What was I going to say to you? Yeah, last week, it felt like it was a very long week. This week's flown by. For me, in any case, and I hope it's whatever you want it to be. But anyway, tomorrow's Friday. That's the point I'm trying to get to. And of course, we have an amazing Friday panel, and we're going to talk about the big stories of the week, the day, or whatever broke overnight. So tune in for that. And we really love your comments whilst that's on. Okay, I don't want people just sitting there listening and feeling preached to or disagreeing. Get involved, have that conversation. It's very important to us, and that and so much more besides. It's going to be a nice Friday show, of course. But that's where we leave Thursday's show. My thanks to Caroline Orr, as always, who researched and produced the programme. A reminder once again that you should stay safe and stay tuned, because John Bresson's coming up around